Chapter 312. After cleaning up the Rank 2 refined corpses, the 10-peak Foundation establishment cultivators walked to the front. The Ji brothers were among them. Ji Qing held a bell, while Ji Yu held a stack of talismans. There were 3 peak Foundation establishment cultivators holding Rank 2 upper-grade peachwood swords. Wang Daoyuan had never killed a refined corpse before, but he heard that refined corpses were afraid of peachwood and fire attribute artifacts. There were no fire attribute spiritual woods in the Spirit Pearl, but there were many golden jade peaches. He took out a Rank 2 upper-grade long sword made of golden jade peaches from the Spirit Pearl and held it in his hand. Zhou Xian transmitted his voice, "Wu Daoyu, give me a peachwood sword too. I don't have anything to defend myself with." Wang Daoyuan also transmitted his voice back, "A direct disciple of a top power in Beiyuan Xian without anything to defend yourself with? Are you joking with me?" Zhou Xian was a little embarrassed. "The things given to me by the elders are too eye-catching. It's not good to take them out directly. The artifacts I made myself aren't that good." Wang Daoyuan couldn't be bothered to continue arguing with him. He took out a Rank 2 upper-grade peachwood sword from the Spirit Pearl and handed it to Zhou Xian. Seeing him take out 2 peachwood swords, Ji Yu asked, "Wu Daoyu, do you have any more peachwood swords? This thing has a very good restraining effect on refined corpses. If you have more, take them all out. We'll use spirit stones and other things to exchange with Daoyu." Wang Daoyuan replied, "These 2 peachwood swords were also refined from the trunk of a second-grade high-grade spirit peach that I chanced upon previously. There are only these 2 swords. Moreover, I didn't want to use them against refined corpses. There are no tool patterns on them. Relying only on peachwood swords won't have a strong restraining effect on refined corpses. I took them out to boost my courage." Seeing that he wasn't willing to take out the peachwood swords, Ji Yu didn't continue to pester him. After all, they were neither relatives nor friends. Against Rank 3 refined corpses, a few more peachwood swords wouldn't be of much use. After the Peak Foundation establishment cultivator finished his preparations, he took the lead and entered the cave. Wang Daoyuan and the others followed closely behind. The cave was only a few hundred feet deep. After reaching the bottom of the cave, there was a huge stone room with a diameter of over 20 feet. On one side of the wall, there was a pitch-black door. Although this portal was not very similar to the 2 mystic realms Wang Daoyuan had seen before, it felt similar. It was a bit like the feeling of taking something out of the space of the Spirit Pearl. Perhaps it was called spatial fluctuation. Wisps of Yin Qi could be seen emanating from the door. A Peak Foundation establishment cultivator with a peachwood sword walked to the door and took out an inferior grade 3 spirit talisman. He hung it on his sword and extended the peachwood sword through the door. Then, a wave of spiritual energy flickered on the peachwood sword. Wang Daoyuan sighed in his heart. These rogue cultivators were really experienced. A cultivator's divine sense couldn't pass through the secret realm's door. If there was an ambush behind the door, the outside world wouldn't be able to discover it. He might as well use his magic tool to trigger the talisman and launch a wave of indiscriminate attacks on the door. After the talisman detonated, the cultivator pasted a few earth armor talismans on himself and passed through the door into the mystic realm. The other Peak Foundation establishment cultivators also quickly passed through the door. All of this took only 5 breaths of time to complete. Next, it was the turn of the Level 9 Foundation establishment cultivators to enter. Wang Daoyuan pasted more than 10 superior grade 2 earth armor talismans on himself before entering with the others. Zhou Xian was even more cowardly than him. He pasted a few defensive talismans on himself and followed at the back. After entering the door, there was a huge flat ground in front of them. It was very dark in the mystic realm. It felt like the sun had already set in the evening, but the sky was not completely dark yet. Even with the eyesight of a Foundation establishment cultivator, they could only see up to 200 feet away. Their divine senses could only reach up to 100 feet away. The 9 Level 9 Foundation establishment cultivators began to set up formation plates as soon as they entered. Among the 9 of them, there was a formation master commanding, so there was no need for Wang Daoyuan to participate. The 10 Peak Foundation establishment cultivators were already fighting with the 4 inferior grade 3 refined corpses. Of the 4 grade 3 refined corpses, 3 were refined from the corpses of human cultivators and 1 was refined from the corpse of a tiger-type demon beast. The bell in Ji Cheng's hand had an obvious restraining effect on the refined corpses. Once the bell was rung, the 4 refined corpses stood motionless on the spot. The refined corpses would only react after 4 or 5 breaths. The other cultivators took the opportunity to use talismans and artifacts to attack the 4 refined corpses. Ordinary cultivators' artifacts would only cause a few sparks when they hit the grade 3 refined corpses. Only fire elemental attacks and peachwood swords could cause some superficial wounds to the refined corpses. Ji Cheng was also under great pressure. As a Foundation establishment cultivator, activating a grade 3 artifact consumed a lot of his divine sense. However, he had no choice but to activate the bell many times. Otherwise, if the refined corpses woke up, these people would not be able to resist at all. With their strength alone, they would not be able to take down these refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian did not go forward. They just stood at the back and threw a few spells at the refined corpses. After 100 breaths, the array disc was set up. The 9th level Foundation establishment formation master activated the core of the array and activated the array. Ji Cheng used all his strength and activated the bell again, suppressing all the 4 refined corpses and covering everyone's retreat. The power of his divine sense was almost exhausted. Seeing that the array was completed, the other Peak Foundation establishment cultivators did not care about anything else and quickly retreated into the array. Ji Yu naturally would not give up on his own brother and pulled him into the array. After Ji Cheng entered the array, he meditated near the core of the array to recover the power of his divine sense. Of the other 9 Peak Foundation establishment cultivators, 2 of them were seriously injured and could not protect the array disc at all. Wang Daoyuan and a 9th level Foundation establishment cultivator replaced the 2 of them and guarded an array disc with the other 7 Foundation establishment cultivators. The remaining 7 9th level Foundation establishment cultivators and Zhou Xian each went behind an outer array disc to support the cultivators guarding the array disc at any time. Zhou Xian continued to follow Wang Daoyuan shamelessly. There was one Peak Foundation establishment cultivator who did not have anyone to support him, Ji Yu. That was because he was strong and had a few grade 3 spirit talismans in his hands. Even if there was no support, he could hold on. Ji Cheng finally activated the bell and suppressed the refined corpses for 3 breaths. At that moment, the 4 refined corpses regained their mobility and pounced towards the array. After all, they were grade 3 refined corpses and their speed far exceeded that of Foundation establishment cultivators. Wang Daoyuan expanded his divine sense and watched the refined corpses to prevent them from being ambushed. The souls of humans and demon beasts were divided into 2 parts, the soul and the essence. The soul was the source of consciousness and intelligence. It was hidden in the sea of consciousness, and the power of one's divine sense also came from the soul. On the other hand, the essence was distributed throughout the body and controlled every part of the body under the command of the soul. After a human or demon beast died, the soul left the body, but the essence remained in the body and merged with the body. If the body did not decay, the essence would not dissipate. Therefore, things like divine sense attacks were completely useless against the refined corpses. To defeat the refined corpses, one could only rely on powerful means to directly destroy the refined corpses' bodies. The refined corpses first attacked the lone Ji Yu. One of the refined corpses attacked the array disc that Ji Yu was guarding. Ji Yu's battle strength was not weak. Relying on an escape technique, he dodged the refined corpse's attack and then threw a fire attribute grade 3 spirit talisman over. The refined corpse was instantly surrounded by a sea of fire. The cultivator controlling the array was not idle either. He quickly activated the array and condensed a vermilion bird phantom with a wingspan of about 500 feet. Once the vermilion bird phantom was formed, it spat out a fireball with a diameter of 1 foot at the refined corpse that was attacking Jiyu. The refined corpse was very vigilant and immediately fled outside the array, finally dodging the fireball. A large part of its body was charred by the fire attribute spirit talisman, emitting the fragrance of barbecued meat and the stench of corpses. After suffering a loss at Jiyu's place, the 4 refined corpses no longer found trouble with Jiyu and turned to attack Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian, who had the lowest cultivation. Chapter 313. Fortunately, these refined corpses were only probing and did not charge at him. The only one that came to cause trouble for Wang Daoyuan was a tiger-shaped refined corpse. This refined corpse was about 10 meters long. A demon's body was stronger than a human's, and the most important thing about refined corpses was their body. Demon refined corpses grew slower, but they were stronger than human refined corpses of the same level. If a 10-meter-long refined corpse charged at him, it would take away half of his life just by bumping into it, let alone attacking. Wang Daoyuan had no desire to meet the tiger-shaped refined corpse head-on. He threw out the 3 fire python talismans and used the smoke escape to dodge the attack. The rank 3 refined corpse was fast, and its claws brushed past Wang Daoyuan's body. Rank 3 refined corpses were fast, but they were not agile enough. They would need to adjust after missing an attack, and could not attack continuously. He turned around to look at Zhou Xian, but found him beside him. As expected of a direct disciple of a large sect, he could easily follow the smoke escape without any obvious spiritual energy fluctuations. The tiger-shaped refined corpse missed its attack, and it was also entangled by the 3 fire pythons. How could it let this go after suffering such a huge loss? With a furious roar, the fire pythons on its body were dispersed, and it charged at the 2 again. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the smoke escape to dodge. The array was also ready, and the vermilion bird phantom opened its mouth and spat out a fireball. The tiger-shaped refined corpse was in the air, and its body was stiff. It could not dodge at all, and the fireball hit its waist. The refined corpse was sent flying 10 meters away. After the fireball hit the refined corpse, it was ignited, and the fire quickly spread throughout its body. The smell of meat and the stench of corpses spread out. It smelled like a salted fish that had been left out for hundreds of years being set on fire. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian were the closest, and they almost vomited from the smell. The refined corpse did not care about extinguishing the fire, and quickly escaped from the array. The vermilion bird phantom spat out another fireball at the refined corpse. When the refined corpse reached the edge of the array, it was hit by the fireball again. After the tiger-shaped refined corpse escaped from the array, it immediately rolled on the ground. But how could the flames spat out by the vermilion bird phantom be extinguished by rolling? After leaving the range of the formation, the flames were indeed weakening, but it would take some time for them to be completely extinguished. The tiger-shaped refined corpse stopped struggling after being burned for 50 to 60 breaths of time. After half a cup of tea's time, the flames were finally extinguished, and the refined corpse was only left with a broken skeleton. The other 3 refined corpses didn't dare to enter the array anymore. They just roared outside the array. Not long after, the group of refined corpses suddenly stopped roaring and walked towards the formation again. This time, they didn't spread out to test the waters. Instead, the 3 refined corpses pounced on Wang Daoyuan together. Wang Daoyuan immediately used the smoke escape technique to dodge the attack. However, the 3 refined corpses did not chase after him. Instead, they went straight for the array disc that he was protecting. Clearly, someone was controlling the 3 refined corpses and they knew where the weakness of the formation was. It was unlike the tiger-shaped refined corpse from before, which only knew how to attack and not break the formation plate. Wang Daoyuan didn't know what to do. None of his spells or magic tools could hold back the refined corpse. If the formation was gone, even 21 peak foundation establishment cultivators would not be able to defeat the 3 refined corpses. Moreover, he didn't know if there were other refined corpses. At this moment, Zhou Xian's hands were glowing with a blue light. He was accumulating spiritual energy and preparing to cast a spell. Wang Daoyuan couldn't just stand by and watch. He gathered his fire elemental spiritual energy and prepared to cast the heaven-burning divine fire technique. Although he couldn't release spiritual fire now, he could still summon the Bifang illusion and control the vermilion bird illusion's flames. The tiger-shaped refined corpse from before was burned to death by 2 fireballs. The Bifang illusion would only increase the power of the flames, making them even more lethal. The chances of protecting the formation weren't high, but it was worth it to destroy the 3 refined corpses. Soon, the refined corpses were only 30 meters away from the formation plate that Wang Daoyuan was protecting. Zhou Xian's blue spiritual energy flew out and instantly turned into a starry sky. The starry sky separated into 3 groups and trapped the 3 refined corpses. The Archaic Mysteries sect had always been mysterious. Wang Daoyuan only knew of the aura examination technique, but he didn't know the name of the spell that Zhou Xian was casting. Although the spell was powerful, it wasn't easy to trap 3 rank 3 refined corpses. Zhou Xian looked like he was having a hard time. The level 9 foundation establishment cultivator who cast the earth-splitting technique used the same trick again and created a huge crack under the 3 refined corpses. Although the refined corpses were rank 3, they still couldn't fly and needed to get up from the ground. Now that their feet were in the air, they couldn't exert any strength and couldn't break free from the trapping technique. They all fell to the ground. At this moment, the vermilion bird illusion spat out a ball of flames towards the refined corpses. Unfortunately, the 3 refined corpses were scattered. The ball of flames only managed to trap one of the refined corpses, and it burned rapidly. The refined corpse fell into the crack and landed on the ground. It started to struggle violently. Zhou Xian tried his best to hold on, but he was sweating profusely from exhaustion. Wang Daoyuan's heaven-burning divine fire technique was also done charging. A Bifang illusion flew out from his hand towards the burning refined corpse. The Bifang illusion flew to the top of the fire-refined corpse's head. With a flap of its wings, the height of the flames immediately increased by several times. A part of the flames was attracted to the Bifang illusion, and it flew towards the other 2 refined corpses with the flames. The other 2 refined corpses were still trapped by Zhou Xian's spell and couldn't escape at all. They could only watch as the flames burned their bodies. The moment the flames spat out by the vermilion bird illusion touched the refined corpses, they burned fiercely. This was the vermilion bird divine fire formation. The formation provided spiritual energy for the flames. Not only would they not be extinguished, but they would burn even more fiercely. The 3 refined corpses struggled violently. 3 soft sounds were heard, and the star illusions on the refined corpses shattered. Zhou Xian also spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. After the 3 refined corpses broke free, they quickly rushed towards the formation plate. The others also cast spells to stop the refined corpses. Jiyu threw out a few lower level 3 talismans to attack the refined corpses, but it had little effect. Finally, one of the refined corpses pounced on the formation plate and crushed it with one stomp. With one formation plate missing, the vermilion bird divine fire formation was instantly broken. The vermilion bird illusion also wailed and disappeared. Although the formation didn't provide spiritual energy, the flames could still burn for a while. With the Bifang illusion, the flames burned fiercely and could last for a longer time. After the 3 refined corpses broke the formation, they began to attack the other cultivators. However, with the flames on their bodies, they couldn't hold on for long. After a few breaths, the 3 refined corpses fell to the ground and couldn't get up. They didn't even have the strength to struggle. From the start of the refined corpses until now, it only took about 10 breaths of time. The Bifang illusion could increase the power of the flames by several times. Wang Daoyuan recalled the Bifang illusion, and the flames on the 3 refined corpses immediately weakened. He didn't care about the refined corpses anymore, and immediately cast the rejuvenation spell to heal Zhou Xian's injuries. Zhou Xian trapped the 3 rank 3 refined corpses for a few breaths of time with his foundation building level 7 cultivation. In the end, the spell was broken, and he suffered a backlash. Both his body and soul were heavily injured. Wang Daoyuan didn't dare to let anything happen to him. Otherwise, he would definitely be angered by the fortune-tellers of the archaic mysteries sect. After 10 breaths of time, Zhou Xian's injuries improved significantly. Ji Yu cupped his hands towards the two of them. Many thanks to the two of you, Dao Yu. If not for the two of you, I'm afraid we would have been slaughtered by these 3 refined corpses. Wang Daoyuan exchanged some pleasantries with the few of them and ignored them. Instead, he transmitted his voice to Dao Yu. Dao Yu, Zhou Xian, can you withstand the corrosion of the Yin Qi? Hearing this, Zhou Xian was a little dazed, but he quickly reacted and nodded. Wang Daoyuan prepared to use water attribute spiritual energy to envelop him to avoid the refined corpses. This was Chen Ji's lair, and it couldn't be guarded by just this little force. It was very likely that there were more rank 3 refined corpses. Now that the formation was gone and there were more rank 3 refined corpses, he could only rely on his own ability to survive. At this moment, a few roars came from all directions. Chapter 314. Originally, everyone's faces were filled with joy, but now, their smiles completely froze. Then, they revealed looks of fear. Wang Daoyuan had expected this. Even someone as honest as him would not use all of his power at once. Chen Ji was a cunning person and would not do such a stupid thing. He had asked Zhou Xian if he could withstand the Yin Qi. Although Zhou Xian did not know the inside story, he was not a fool and knew that things were not that simple. Both of them were mentally prepared and did not panic at all. The others rushed towards the entrance of the secret realm. Wang Daoyuan calmly covered his body with water attribute spirit energy and formed a ball of water attribute spirit energy to envelop Zhou Xian. Then, he took out 2 forbidden spirit silk cloaks from the spirit orb. The two of them put on the cloaks and did not escape towards the entrance. Instead, they ran in the opposite direction and ran towards the depths of the secret realm. According to Qi Yun's memories, there was a river in the depths of the secret realm. However, when he and Chen Ji explored the secret realm, they only saw the river from afar and did not go to the river. After receiving the inheritance of the 10,000 corpse spiritual master, he was plotted against by Chen Ji and did not know much about the situation in the depths. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Xian were running towards the depths of the secret realm, which was a very risky move. However, it was better than risking their lives against a group of lower rank 3 corpses. Among all his methods, only the returning earth flame and earth divine lightning could injure the rank 3 refined zombie. But even then, it would take a long time to destroy it. The corpses would not just stand there and let him hit them. As long as he was hit by the corpses, he would lose his ability to resist. Chen Ji had many rank 3 corpses under him and he had no chance of surviving. Just as they ran 100 feet, a rank 3 lower rank 3 human-shaped corpse ran towards them. The two of them brushed past the corpse. The corpse only stopped and looked around before continuing to run towards the entrance of the secret realm. The two of them sighed in relief. Yin Qi could indeed hide their life force and prevent the corpse from discovering them. As for the forbidden spirit silk cloak, it was used to guard against Chen Ji. Some corpse controlling techniques could use the divine sense through the corpse refinement. Wang Daoyuan didn't know Chen Ji's depth. What if he could use spiritual sense to search for the target through the refined corpse? If he wore the spirit-restricting silk cloak, he would be able to guard against this. Not long after the two of them dodged the refined corpse, sounds of fighting and wailing came from behind them. Wang Daoyuan secretly rejoiced that he had not fled in that direction. Chen Ji was a cunning old fox. He would definitely leave a backup plan near the entrance. There was no direction in the mystic realm. Wang Daoyuan determined that the entrance to the mystic realm was in the north, and the river flowed from the northwest to the southeast. The place where Daoist master myriad corpses passed away was in the southeast. There were Type 4 refined corpses left behind by the 10,000 corpse Daoist master, and Wang Daoyuan naturally did not dare to join in the fun. In order to hide their tracks, the two of them didn't dare to use magic, nor did they dare to fly on their swords. They could only run wildly on the ground. Ever since he entered the foundation building realm, he hadn't been forced to flee in such a sorry state in the past few decades. Fortunately, it was on the rocky ground, so it wouldn't leave any traces. Even if foundation establishment cultivators didn't use magic, their physical bodies were far stronger than ordinary people's. After running wildly for half a cup of tea's time, they ran more than 50 miles. They saw 100 feet ahead of them. There was a willow tree more than 10 feet tall. The two of them walked to the side of the willow tree and saw a spring beside the roots. The spring water was earthy yellow, and it contained a strong yin qi. This spring water was much worse than the Gui water nether spring. The amount of water in the Gui water nether spring was much larger, and the water contained pure yin qi. However, the yin qi in this spring water was not pure. It seemed to contain some death qi similar to that of refined corpses and ghosts. Wang Daoyuan condensed a ball of wood attribute spirit power and threw it into the water. As soon as it came into contact with the spirit power, the spring water boiled. In just a breath of time, the wood attribute spirit power dissipated, and the vitality contained in it also disappeared. The spring water that came into contact with the spirit power turned from yellow to black. In the black spring water, the yin qi contained became pure and no longer contained death qi. Zhou Xian carefully looked at the spring water and said, Wu Daoyu is really capable. The wood attribute spirit power actually contains vitality. No wonder the healing effect of the rejuvenation technique is so good. This spring water contains both yin qi and death qi at the same time. I seem to know the name of this secret realm. The Archaic Mysteries sect was one of the top forces in Beiyuan Shoshin. It was also an ancient force that existed before the formation of Decimating Heaven Abyss. In addition, this group of fortune-tellers liked to inquire about secret matters. The secret matters they knew far exceeded that of ordinary forces. Wang Daoyuan asked curiously, what is the origin of this spring water? Please enlighten me, Daoyu. Zhou Xian smiled and said, Wu Daoyu, have you heard of reincarnation? Daoyu means that this thing is related to the underworld? Yes, this spring water is yellow. It contains both yin qi and death qi. It is very similar to the yellow spring in the legends. It's just that the concentration of yin qi and death qi is too low. Legend has it that the underworld and the living world are yin and yang. They depend on each other, but they are separated by a spatial barrier. There is a yellow spring river in the underworld. Its origin is unknown, and its destination is unknown. If a crack appears in the spatial barrier between the underworld and the living world, it will form a secret realm filled with yang qi in the underworld, or a secret realm filled with yin qi and death qi in the human world. According to legend, this yellow spring water should come from the underworld's yellow spring river. After a living creature dies, if it does not become a ghost, its soul will enter the underworld's yellow spring river from such a secret realm. If the legend is true, then the bottom of this spring may lead to the underworld. Daoyu, are you interested in going down to take a look? Zhou Xian teased. Wang Daoyuan glanced at him and said, regardless of whether this legend is true or not, even if it is true, I haven't lived long enough. How can I easily enter the underworld? Finished speaking, he pointed at the willow tree and asked, what is the origin of this willow tree? Zhou Xian thought for a while and said, this thing seems to be called yellow spring willow. It only grows beside the yellow spring. I'm not too sure about the specific functions it has. After all, these are just legends. Who would remember it so clearly? However, seeing that this yellow spring willow is at least a level 3 spiritual wood, it's not bad to cut it down and sell it for money. Regardless of whether the legend is true or not, this yellow spring should be the secret realm's core. A level 4 spiritual spring will definitely nurture natural treasures. I don't know if it's not old enough or if someone took it away. Wang Daoyuan knew in his heart that if this yellow spring could nurture anything, it must have fallen into Chen Ji's hands. He smiled and said, let's not court death. Cutting down a level 3 spiritual wood will cause too much of a commotion and alert the refined corpses. We can't even think about running. Let's just break a few branches and leave. It's a pity. If this spring water only has yin qi, it can nurture some spiritual plants. However, it contains death qi. Only a strange thing like the yellow spring willow can survive. Zhou Xian did not have any objections. He took out a foot-long folding fan. This folding fan was made of a special metal material. He opened the folding fan and threw it into the middle of the canopy. Under the control of his divine sense, the folding fan shuttled back and forth between the dense branches. Finally, in an inconspicuous place in the canopy, it cut off 2 branches about an inch in diameter. He kept the folding fan, and the branches fell down. Zhou Xian caught the branches and kept one of them. He handed the other to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan took the willow branch and kept it in the spiritual pearl space. He said, "Let's leave this place as soon as possible. After the refined corpses deal with those people, they might come running over." Zhou Xian nodded. The 2 of them fled in the west direction. If they went to the secret realm's entrance now, they would be walking right into a trap. It would not be too late to wait until Chen Ji let down his guard. Chapter 315. The 2 fled to the west for dozens of miles and found a crack in the rock. The crack wasn't big enough. Wang Daoyuan wanted to use his earth-type spirit energy to erode the rock and expand the crack. However, Zhou Xian took the initiative to cut the rock with his folding fan like a knife cutting through tofu. Soon, they were more than 10 feet underground, creating a space big enough for the 2 of them to rest. The cut rock was put into the spirit beast bag. The 5 elemental spirit energy in the secret realm was very thin, almost non-existent. However, there was a lot of yin qi and death qi. It was impossible to cultivate in such an environment, and the spirit energy in the body would constantly dissipate. Coupled with the corrosion of yin qi and death qi, normal cultivators wouldn't last more than a few days in such an environment. Wang Daoyuan didn't care about this. He couldn't refine the death qi, but he could use the life force in his wood-type spirit energy to offset it. Yin qi could be integrated into his water-type spirit energy. His water-type spirit energy already contained pure yin qi, so it didn't matter if he had more or less. As for the lack of 5 elemental spirit energy, that was even less of a concern. In a situation where he didn't need to fight, the spirit energy in a jar of 100-year-old spiritual peach dew could last him for a few months. He didn't need to worry about Zhou Xian at all. He used a secret technique to enter a state of suspended animation. In half a cup of tea's time, his heart would only beat 2 or 3 times, and he would only breathe once. He used this method to reduce the consumption of spirit energy and the corrosion of the death qi and yin qi. Wang Daoyuan was more casual. He drank the spiritual peach dew and ate jerky every day. The 2 stayed in the secret realm for 2 months. Wang Daoyuan went out to scout many times and found that there was an inferior 3rd-grade corpse guarding the exit. After 2 months of suspended animation, Zhou Xian couldn't withstand the corrosion of the yin qi and death qi and woke up. Seeing Wang Daoyuan eating and drinking, he was almost angered to death. He said angrily, "You didn't tell me you had food to eat, and made me suffer for 2 months." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "You didn't ask me either, right?" He extracted all the yin qi in his body and used the rejuvenation technique to eliminate the death qi in his body. He smiled and said, "The yin qi and death qi in your body are gone. You can continue sleeping. You can last for another 2 months." No matter what, Zhou Xian was unwilling to enter the state of suspended animation again. He insisted on eating and drinking with Wang Daoyuan. The 2 ate jerky and drank wine together. After a few days, Zhou Xian asked, "Do you have enough food? We don't need to eat so much in one day." Wang Daoyuan lifted his Daoist robe and showed him the dozens of spirit beast pouches and storage pouches hanging inside. He said, "This is nothing. The dried meat and spirit wine I have stored are enough to last us for a few years. Let's stay in this secret realm for a year and a half. The person controlling the refined corpses will definitely let down his guard. When that time comes, we'll rush out. Once we're outside, we won't have to worry about the refined corpses chasing after us. Wang Daoyuan usually carried dozens of storage pouches with him to protect the space in his spiritual orb. If he was suspected, he would have an excuse. The two of them stayed in the crevice for 7 to 8 months. Wang Daoyuan went out to gather information and found that there were no rank 3 refined corpses guarding the entrance of the secret realm. After Wang Daoyuan returned to the crevice, he asked Zhou Xian, "Brother Zhou, are you confident in killing a rank 3 lower refined corpse? Now that there are no refined corpses guarding the entrance of the secret realm, I'm worried that the opponent will set up an ambush. When we go out, if a refined corpse jumps out to block our way, we'll have to deal with it quickly. Most of my methods are used against living humans and monsters. Against a rank 3 refined corpse, even if I use all my methods, I'll only be able to injure it. I won't even be able to heavily injure it." He did not mean to hide his abilities. Even if he used all his methods, it would still be difficult to take down a rank 3 lower refined corpse. Hearing this, Zhou Xian nodded and said, "I do have some methods to kill rank 3 refined corpses, but I won't use them unless my life is in danger. Once I use these methods, an elder will quickly come and take me back. In the future, it will be difficult for me to regain my freedom. If I really have no other choice, I won't be stingy." Wang Daoyuan nodded and did not say anything else. After waiting for half a month, the two of them left the crevice and prepared to rush out of the secret realm. Just like when they were escaping, they wore the spirit-restricting silk cloak and wrapped it with a layer of water spiritual energy. The crevice they were hiding in was a little far from the entrance of the secret realm. After walking for an hour, they finally arrived near the entrance. There were no refined corpses around, and the two of them did not dare to use their divine senses to probe. They walked straight to the entrance of the secret realm. Zhou Xian took out his peachwood sword and was about to hang a spiritual talisman on it. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "If the opponent really wants to ambush us, a rank 3 lower talisman won't be able to do anything. Just watch me." Finishing his words, he took out a jade box from the spiritual pearl space and unlocked the seal on it. Inside the jade box was a blue bead that contained violent water attribute spiritual energy. Zhou Xian asked, "Is this the Gui water lightning pearl?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Yes, it is indeed the Gui water lightning pearl." Unfortunately, the Gui water divine lightning sealed inside is only level 3. It can injure a rank 3 refined corpse, but it can't seriously injure it. However, it's enough to scare people. This Gui water lightning pearl was given to him by his grandfather during the small beast tide. He had never used it. Now, the earth divine lightning he casually used was more powerful than this Gui water lightning pearl. Under normal circumstances, he would not need to use it. However, they were at the entrance of the secret realm. The light screen in front of them separated the secret realm and the outside world into 2 spaces. Divine senses could not penetrate it at all. Even if he cast a spell, after the spell passed through the light screen, it would only turn into a ball of ordinary spiritual energy. He took out another jade box and unlocked the seal on it. He took out the Gui water lightning pearl and placed it on his waist. He placed a Gui water lightning pearl on the tip of his peachwood sword, held the sword hilt, and extended the sword tip out of the door. Then, a stream of spiritual energy was transmitted through the peachwood sword. The light screen of the door shook. The two of them stuck a dozen defensive talismans on their bodies and passed through the door as fast as they could. After passing through the door, they saw over 20 refined corpses standing in the underground cave outside the secret realm. There were even a few lying on the ground. Among them, there were 5 rank 3 lower grade refined corpses. The rest were all rank 2 upper grade refined corpses. These rank 2 upper grade refined corpses were familiar faces. They were the people who came with them. However, the Ji brothers were not among them. After exiting the door, Wang Daoyuan immediately used the smoke escape to avoid the attacks of the refined corpses. He then summoned the flying kite. The rank 3 lower grade refined corpses reacted very quickly. In the process of using the escape technique, Wang Daoyuan's body was attacked several times. The dozen defensive talismans were all destroyed. Just as Wang Daoyuan stepped onto the flying kite, Zhou Xian stood behind him. The defensive talismans on his body were intact. The archaic Arcanum Sex escape technique was truly ridiculous. The refined corpses would not watch the 2 pieces of meat in front of them escape. They once again pounced on the flying kite. As a flying magic tool, the flying kite was much faster than a flying sword. However, it could not be compared to the speed of the rank 3 refined corpses. 5 rank 3 refined corpses immediately rushed towards them. Wang Daoyuan took out the Gui water lightning bead from his waist and threw it at the refined corpses. The rank 3 refined corpses did not dodge. Instead, they pounced towards the 2 of them. The Gui water lightning bead only caused some superficial wounds to the rank 3 refined corpses. The 2 of them could not escape. A jade coin with a square hole appeared in Zhou Xian's hand. The jade coin was less than an inch in diameter, but the spiritual energy on it was extremely intense. The 5 rank 3 refined corpses had already jumped into the air. They were only 2 to 3 feet away from the flying kite. At this moment, Zhou Xian threw out the jade coin in his hand. After the jade coin left his hand, a 300-meter-long white jade-colored dragon phantom appeared out of thin air. The jade dragon swung its tail and slapped the 5 rank 3 refined corpses to the ground. Wang Daoyuan quickly controlled the flying kite to fly out of the underground cave. 5 breaths later, the jade coin flew out of the cave and landed in Zhou Xian's hand. Chapter 316. At the original location of the underground cave, the ground within a radius of more than 10 miles instantly caved in. Seeing Zhou Xian's trump card, Wang Daoyuan was a little shocked. As expected of someone from a large sect, his methods were indeed powerful. He teased, "Fellow Daoist, you're worthy of being called a fortune teller. Even your trump card is a coin used for divination." Did any of the rank 3 refined corpses survive? In the central region of Beiyuan Shouxian, within the Zhou country, there were many mortal countries without the interference of cultivators. The currency used in those countries was round and square coins. The common currency used by cultivators was spirit stones. Only cultivators who were good at fortune-telling would use this kind of currency. Zhou Xian was already used to being called a fortune-teller, and did not mind his teasing. He sighed, "Don't worry, this is a self-defense method that my golden core ancestor prepared for me. There is a spell sealed inside." A golden core cultivator's dharma spell is something that even a 3rd grade high-grade refined corpse cannot survive. Wang Daoyuan sighed, "That's a pity. I'm guessing that the master of these refined corpses was a peak foundation establishment cultivator. If there were still rank 3 refined corpses alive, he would still dare to meet us. Now that all the rank 3 refined corpses are gone, he won't show himself again." Chen Ji controlled the refined corpses, so he could naturally understand the battle strength of the 2 from the corpses. Now that there were no rank 3 refined corpses, he would not dare to come out and seek death. This time, he entered the Netherworld's secret realm to force Chen Ji out, but he did not even show his face. He wanted to find some heavenly treasures useful for souls, but he only found a netherworld willow that he did not know what use it had. The Gui water death flame in the spiritual pearl could produce purine qi. He could not do anything about the qi of death. The netherworld willow was planted near the Gui water death flame. Whether it could survive or not would depend on its luck. The 2 rode the kite and arrived at the Mirror Lake Oasis. There was no one alive here. There was no scene of a large-scale massacre. The Ji brothers probably escaped back to the Mirror Lake Oasis and brought back news of the rank 3 refined corpses. Treasure Mirror Lake Oasis was empty. There was no point for the 2 of them to continue staying here, so they decided to return to Wild Goose Market together. The flying kite was extremely fast, and the two of them soon arrived at the Wu family's equipment forging workshop in Guiyan Market. Zhou Xian was also staying here temporarily, exchanging insights on crafting with Wang Daoyuan. The flying kite's speed was faster than that of Peak Foundation establishment cultivators. Zhou Xian's interest was piqued. He cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "Wu Daoyu, your flying kite is quite peculiar. I've seen quite a few flying magic tools, and many of them are faster than this, but this is the first time I've seen one with such a simple structure." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "This thing is modified from the crane feather boat. Presumably, Daoyu also knows about the crane feather boat. It will break with a touch. I'll keep the crane feather boat's tool pattern and replace it with a stronger material. I'll also change its shape to look like an eagle. However, there's still a big problem with this magic tool. Logically speaking, it should be able to fly 4,000 miles in 2 hours. However, once this flying kite reaches 3,500 miles in 2 hours, it will start to tremble violently. I don't have time to modify it, so I can only use it like this. Daoyu is indeed extraordinary. You can modify such a flying magic tool with only upper grade level 2 equipment forging skills. It's really rare." Zhou Xian praised. After he finished speaking, Zhou Xian's expression changed. He took out a jade coin that shone with a golden light and said, "I wanted to discuss with Daoyu for a few more days, but I didn't expect the elders of my family to find me so soon. Before we leave, I'll check Daoyu's luck again. I hope that I can help Daoyu overcome the love tribulation." After he finished speaking, his eyes shone with a purple light. After 5 breaths, Zhou Xian said with a smile, "Congratulations, Daoyu." Now, Daoyu's golden cloud's purple color has deepened by a bit. More than half of the shallow bloodstain has disappeared, and the remaining bit is connected to the deeper bloodstain. This means that your future tribulation has something to do with this trip to the Yellow Spring's secret realm. The bloodstain that signifies the love tribulation has also become slightly shallower. Daoyu's danger has decreased by a lot. It's time for me to leave. Let's meet again after I establish my Violet Palace." Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Daoyu's talent is extraordinary, and he also has elders looking after him. Establishing his Violet Palace is only a matter of 20 or 30 years." The two exchanged a few more words, then Zhou Xian bid farewell and left. Wang Daoyuan, on the other hand, was thinking about the future tribulation. The future tribulation was related to the trip to the Yellow Spring's secret realm, so the danger level had decreased again. It was possible that the future tribulation was caused by that kid, Chen Ji. Now that Chen Ji's rank 3 refined corpse had been destroyed by Zhou Xian, his strength had decreased sharply. Without the support of a rank 3 refined corpse, a Peak Foundation establishment loose cultivator would not be able to threaten his life. But what did it mean that there was love in this tribulation? Could it be that Chen Ji was living off a woman and had latched onto the thigh of a female Violet Palace realm cultivator? If he killed him, the female Violet Palace realm cultivator would come after him? Since he couldn't figure it out, he decided not to waste any more time thinking about it. He released his newly acquired clone, Lu Zong, into the Blood Shadow realm and had him join Wu Yi's clone. Wang Daoyuan had been gone for more than a year. Wu Yi's cultivation had reached the 9th level of Foundation establishment, and he now had 1 more Foundation establishment cultivator and 10 more Qi refinement cultivators under him. The additional Foundation establishment cultivator was Wu Yi's first subordinate, Hu Jing. Hu Jing's talent was not bad, and he was strong enough. Before the age of 70, he had accumulated enough contribution points. After exchanging for a Foundation establishment pill, he successfully established his foundation. Hu Jing was very grateful to Wu Yi, and was now Wu Yi's #1 confidant. Wang Daoyuan didn't need to worry too much about him. He had Fu Qing to help him recruit people. Scarlet Fox also opened the back door for him when carrying out bounty missions. It was very difficult for a clone to come up with new tricks, but it was still very reliable when doing things step by step. Wu Yi already had more than 200,000 contribution points, and he was not far from 300,000. He would be able to save enough contribution points within 10 years. However, his current cultivation had just reached the 9th level of foundation establishment, and he had no reason to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. Wang Daoyuan's own cultivation was only at the 8th level of foundation establishment, and he couldn't use the yin-yang purple jade even if he got it. On Bai Xing's side, his blacksmithing skills had improved slightly, and it wouldn't be a problem for him to look after the blacksmithing shop. There was nothing for him to worry about in Guiyan Market, and it was time to return to the family. He would return to the family and enter seclusion for a period of time. When his cultivation reached the peak of foundation establishment, he would come to Guiyan Market to plan for the yin-yang purple jade. He didn't ride the kite, but left Guiyan Market on his sword. He stayed in Jinyan City for a few days, then went to Qingli Market on his sword, and finally returned to Yuchuan Peak from Qingli Market. After all, the plan was too big. Once it was leaked, the entire family would be implicated. It was better to hide his identity as much as possible. After arriving at Yuchuan Peak, he found out that the family had changed a lot in the 8 or 9 years he had been away. 2 years ago, 5th great-uncle took action to flatten the 100 Spirit Mountain in the central part of Qingli County. The 100 Spirit Mountain family joined forces with a few stronger families in the central part of Qingli County to establish the 100 Spirit Mountain Market, and the Wang family also got 10% of the shares. In order to maintain the relationship between the Wang and Yang families, Wang Jian even pulled the Yang family into it. Now, third brother, Wang Daochang, was presiding over the various affairs there. Wang Daochang was originally a potential clan leader. In the past few decades, he first served as the elder of the mine and then as the grand elder, and his ability had long been trained. His ability to handle affairs was not just a little bit better than his own. Among the several clan leaders and grand elders of the Wang family, 5th great-uncle and 9th great-uncle's talents were above average and not very outstanding. However, with enough experience, their abilities surpassed the helmsman of an ordinary family. 12th uncle's talent was high enough and he had enough experience, but he had an idle personality and was too lazy to care about so many things. If it weren't for him taking care of things everywhere for so many years, the family would just be at the same level. Only third brother, Wang Daochang, was very talented and had enough experience over the years. His personality was relatively calm, and he was able to expand and preserve. With him around, there was no need for him to worry about the matters at 100 Spirit Mountain. Chapter 317. Wang Daoyuan was more curious about why 100 Spirit Mountain was cleaned up now, since they had agreed to delay for a few decades. He asked, 12th uncle, didn't you say to leave the 100 Spirit Mountain clan alone? Why did you start now? The clan shouldn't have more resources to sell there, right? Wang Shui glanced at him and said, what's going on? Don't you know? What did you do with the Thunder Ape before you left? Wang Daoyuan was a bit confused and answered, when I went there, I killed 2 golden-striped tigers and let the Thunder Ape guard the territory of the golden-striped tigers to deter the surrounding demonic beasts, so that it wouldn't be occupied by other demonic beasts. Why, did it cause trouble? Wang Shui smiled and said, the Thunder Ape isn't a guy that can stay idle. When you told it to deter the demonic beasts, it ran to the entrance of their caves. When it was idle in Golden Tiger Mountain, it provoked other demonic beasts and turned the whole Fallen Dragon Ridge upside down many times. The first year after you left, it was fine, but from the second year onwards, it provoked a lot of demonic beasts every 2 or 3 months and ran to hide in Jade Pine Mountain's formation. Then, Jade Pine Mountain was besieged by demonic beasts. The ordinary clansmen who moved there were very scared and asked to leave Jade Pine Mountain. The cultivator clansmen also didn't have the heart to take care of the businesses on Jade Pine Mountain. Helpless, I could only take Dao Xing to deal with the demonic beasts in Fallen Dragon Ridge. We swept Fallen Dragon Ridge 5 times, and even Granduncle was dispatched twice before all the demonic beasts in Fallen Dragon Ridge were cleared. Now, Dao Xing and Yun Yi are still stationed in the east of Fallen Dragon Ridge, and the Thunder Ape continues to guard Golden Tiger Mountain. In these years, the clan has a lot of newborns. At present, there are already 53 cultivators in the Ming generation. However, there is no talent in the Ming generation who can take charge of a region. There are still not enough clansmen to use, and they can't develop too much territory, so they try to develop Golden Tiger Mountain first. They thought that Golden Tiger Mountain didn't have many plants and wasn't suitable for developing spirit fields, so it wasn't worth developing. But they didn't expect that Golden Tiger Mountain actually had a second-tier high-grade star steel vein. Although the clan doesn't lack ores, it's the first time they found a second-tier high-grade star steel vein. If they develop it, their annual income will increase by more than 10,000 spirit stones. Once they had ores, they needed to find a way to sell them. It was also because of this that Fifth Uncle had taken action in advance to flatten the 100th Spirit Mountain. I can't say for sure if the Thunder Ape has done something right or wrong. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan said helplessly, "The Thunder Ape isn't a spirit beast that I raised since it was young, so it's hard to make it listen to me." "That's right, is there a defensive formation?" Wang Shi nodded and said, "Not at the moment. You're not in the clan, and the others don't have the ability to set up such a large formation. It wasn't safe to ask an outsider to set up the array, so they could only make do with the array disk. Since you're to set on the formation on Master Yunai spent quite a bit of effort to find all of them. According to your promise, I'll give those who find the spirit herbs 3 times the reward. I've already deducted it from your contribution points." Wang Daoyuan took the storage pouch and hung it on his waist, saying, "There's nothing for me to take care of on Jade Spring Peak, so I'll go to Jade Pine Mountain first." After he finished speaking, he steered his flying sword and left Jade Spring Peak. After flying into the air, he put the storage bag given to him by the 12th uncle into the space of the spirit pearl and gave it to his doppelganger to handle. Previously, he had already planted 1 mu of purple dragon pattern ginseng in the space of the spirit bead. He still needed to clear out 2 mu of spirit fields to plant the meridian protection pill and the purple dragon pattern ginseng. Now that he improved his spiritual sense cultivation base, he relied on taking the black jade serene lotus seed. He didn't need the soul strengthening pill at all. Thus, he decided to clear out 2 of the 3 mu of spirit fields used to plant spirit herbs for the soul strengthening pill and spirit herbs for the meridian protection pill. Now that Jin Hushan had an array disc, he was not in a hurry to set up the array. It was better to let Zhao Liang build his foundation first. Riding on his sword, he arrived at Mount Yusong and realized that it was bustling with activity. There were more than 1,000 ordinary clansmen and more than 20 young clansmen. Now, Wang Daoshu was in charge here, managing all the affairs of Mount Yusong. These young clansmen were all of the Ming generation and had come here to gain experience. There were also those who followed Wang Daoshu to learn spirit cooking and Zhao Liang to learn tool forging. At this moment, Zhao Liang was at the entrance of his abode in the south of the mountain, teaching a few Ming generation juniors how to forge tools. This time, he had come to help him build his foundation, so he directly landed in front of his abode. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had returned, the group of Ming generation juniors immediately bowed. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "All of you can leave first. I have something to discuss with your uncle." The group of juniors dispersed. Zhao Liang asked, "What important matter do you have to discuss with me? You're delaying me from teaching the children how to forge tools." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "The matter of you building your foundation has been settled. After you build your foundation, I still have something that I need your help with. The matter of teaching the children how to forge tools is not something that can be done in a day or 2. After you build your foundation, I guarantee that you'll teach them until they're sick of it." The refining materials he had exchanged at the Mirror Lake Oasis were worth a total of more than 300,000 spirit stones. After he built his foundation, he would give them all to him and it would be enough for him to play with for more than 10 years. Hearing that the matter of building his foundation was settled, Zhao Liang's face was full of excitement. He asked, "You found a magic tool that can suppress inner demons?" "I didn't find it." Wang Daoyuan took out the mystic ice jade essence. "However, I found this. Zhao Liang's heart sank when he heard that. When he saw the mystic ice jade essence, his eyes widened. He took the mystic ice jade essence with trembling hands. This is mystic ice jade essence? Zhao Liang was worthy of being groomed by Master Lei Yan. His knowledge was indeed extraordinary. He could recognize the mystic ice jade essence at a glance. He carefully looked at it for a long time before regretfully saying, "This mystic ice jade essence is really a pity. It's only of the 3rd grade. If it could reach the 3rd grade, it could be used to suppress the inner demon tribulation during the establishment of the Violet Palace." Wang Daoyuan advised, "It didn't take much effort to get this thing. Even if the grade isn't high enough, it can still be refined into a magic tool to strengthen the ability to suppress inner demons. I don't dare to do it. If there's a chance in the future, I'll ask Master Lei Yan to do it. Don't dawdle here. This mystic ice jade essence is a piece of cake for you to suppress your inner demons during foundation building. Hurry up and build your foundation." Hearing this, Zhao Liang took the mystic ice jade essence and entered the cave to build his foundation. Wang Daoyuan stayed outside the cave to protect him. After 2 hours, a spirit chi whirlpool with a diameter of 40 to 50 feet appeared above the cave. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense entered the cave and constantly observed Zhao Liang's situation. In order not to disturb Zhao Liang, he tried his best to control the power of his spiritual sense. Even with Zhao Liang's spiritual sense cultivation, he couldn't discover it. 15 minutes after the spirit chi whirlpool appeared, Zhao Liang's face began to show a painful and sorrowful expression. At this moment, a wisp of spiritual power began to appear on his right hand that was holding the mystic ice jade essence. Soon after, the cold mist on the mystic ice jade essence spread from his right hand to his whole body. The amount of cold mist was very small and not enough to hurt him. Soon, the cold mist covered Zhao Liang's whole body and the expression on his face returned to normal. The inner demons were suppressed by the mystic ice jade essence. Zhao Liang had been at the peak of qi refining for many years. He was also a tool refiner and had the protection of the foundation establishment pill. The probability of success was very high. 2 hours later, the spirit chi whirlpool above the cave gradually became smaller. At this point, he could be considered to have succeeded in building his foundation. His 8th sister, Wang Daoshu, had already discovered the spirit chi whirlpool and was anxiously waiting in front of the door. At this moment, seeing the spirit chi whirlpool gradually shrinking, her face revealed a happy expression. After another 15 minutes, the spirit chi whirlpool completely disappeared. The spiritual power of a foundation establishment cultivator came from inside the cave. Zhao Liang had finally succeeded in building his foundation. Chapter 318. Zhao Liang had been stuck at the peak of qi refinement for decades, so his foundation was naturally solid. Without much effort, he finished consolidating his cultivation. As soon as the door opened, Wang Daoshu immediately rushed in. Wang Daoyuan retracted his spiritual sense and waited for them to finish before discussing matters with Zhao Liang. Half an hour later, Zhao Liang walked out of the cave. He was about the same age as Wang Daoyuan and was also in his 80s. Before he built his foundation, he already had obvious signs of aging. Now that he had successfully built his foundation, he suddenly became a few decades younger and looked like he was in his 30s. After all, 80s could only be considered young among foundation establishment cultivators. Zhao Liang handed the mystic ice jade essence to Wang Daoyuan and smiled, "Thank you for your help, 7th brother-in-law." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "We're of the same generation, so there's no need to be so formal. I have something that I need your help with." He took out the flying kite from his storage bag and handed it to Zhao Liang. "This is a flying Dharma artifact that I modified from the crane feather boat. It's called the flying kite. I didn't make much changes to the tool pattern and only added a defensive tool pattern. According to my estimation, this flying kite should be able to reach around 4,000 miles in 2 hours. However, when this flying kite reaches 3,500 miles in 2 hours, it will violently tremble. My refining skills are self-taught, so my foundation isn't solid enough. It can't be compared to Lei Yan, who taught me personally. I can't see where the problem is, so I'll have to trouble you, brother-in-law. Zhao Liang took the flying kite and observed it carefully. There's no problem with your material handling and tool pattern inscription. The only problem is copying the tool pattern. The tool pattern is compatible with the material and shape of the artifact. If the material and shape are changed, the tool pattern will also have to be adjusted. However, the artifact that you created by copying the tool pattern can still fly 3,000 miles in 2 hours, which is already very impressive. Every mature magical artifact had to go through countless generations of continuous improvement before it reached a relatively perfect state. I don't have the ability to adjust this flying kite to a perfect state. This isn't something that can be done by 1 or 2 people, so I can only do my best. Give me some time, and I'll try my best to fix the flaws that I can see. As for the rest, there's nothing I can do. Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan was very happy. He didn't expect the flying kite to be perfect, as long as it could fly faster under stable conditions. Zhou Xian said that he was facing the death calamity. With a reliable flying artifact, he had a higher chance of escaping. It's fine as long as it's faster than it is now. I don't expect it to be that good. I'll be staying at Jade Song Mountain for a while. If you need any materials, just let me know. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Over at Golden Tiger Mountain, there was already an array disc set up, and it was even connected to the spirit vein. Other than covering a small area, it was not much different from a large array. There was no need to rush to set up an array. It was better to create the spirit gathering bead first. Currently, he needed the spirit gathering bead urgently. The Azure Dragon bead could be used together with the spirit gathering bead. The Azure Dragon Pearl could extract the life force of living creatures to heal and strengthen the body. However, there was a huge drawback. When he was really injured, there was no place to extract the life force. If the extracted life force was not used up, it would be integrated into the body. It would have a weak strengthening effect on the body and could not be preserved. Although his wood elemental spiritual energy carried life force, it was not much. If the Azure Dragon Pearl did not extract life force and was used directly for healing, the effect would be much worse if there was too little life force. Wang Daoyuan had always wanted to create an artifact that could store life force and be used together with the Azure Dragon Pearl. However, due to his limited skill in crafting, he had no idea how to create such an artifact. The spirit gathering bead could store spiritual energy, but he could try using it to store life force. Moreover, his wood elemental spiritual energy could coexist with life force. Even if the spirit gathering bead could not store life force directly, he could first store wood elemental spiritual energy and then integrate the life force into the spiritual energy. He could use the Azure Dragon Pearl to extract more life force from the fierce blood boar and store it in the spirit gathering bead. When he needed to heal, he could use it directly. Even if the crafting method of the spirit gathering bead was not perfect and the resulting spirit gathering bead was prone to all kinds of problems, it was not a big deal to store life force. Among the crafting materials that he had exchanged in Shanbei, there were many second-stage spiritual jades. It was enough to craft dozens of spirit-gathering beads. The difficulty of crafting the spirit-gathering bead was that the pattern was too complicated. A 3-inch jade bead was not enough to inscribe all the patterns. In order to increase the space for inscribing the pattern, the bead was made hollow and divided into 3 layers. The space in the bead was used to store spiritual energy. The innermost layer was inscribed with the spirit storage pattern to bind the spiritual energy in the space. The middle layer was a transformation pattern to convert the escaping spiritual energy into spiritual energy that could be controlled and used. The outermost layer was inscribed with the spirit gathering pattern to gather the escaping spiritual energy and send it into the inner layer of the bead. In order to ensure that the spirit gathering bead did not leak spiritual energy, the entire bead could not be cut and glued together. Only a small hole could be made on the surface of the polished jade bead. The bead could be layered from the inside through the small hole and hollowed out. When inscribing the pattern, a special tool had to be used to inscribe the pattern from the inside through the small hole. When Wang Daoyuan saw the method of inscribing the pattern, he recalled the process of drawing from the inside of the snuff bottle in his previous life. Crafting the spirit-gathering bead was similar to that, but the difficulty was not the same. Crafting a spirit-gathering bead would take 2 to 3 months with a high failure rate. This was also the main reason why the spirit-gathering bead was not suitable for mass production. After inscribing the pattern, a special method had to be used to seal the small hole on the bead. Wang Daoyuan spent 2 years and failed more than 10 times before he finally crafted a spirit-gathering bead. He took out 3 fierce blood boars from the spiritual bead and used the azure dragon bead to extract their life force. After the azure dragon bead was full of life force, he injected it into the spirit-gathering bead. The spirit-gathering bead could store life force, but life force was not the same as spiritual energy. The spirit storage pattern could not completely bind it. Even if the spirit-gathering bead was full of life force, it would dissipate in 3 to 4 days. To prevent the life force from dissipating, he first injected wood spiritual energy into the spirit-gathering bead and then integrated the life force into the spiritual energy. The wood spiritual energy already contained some life force, so it was not difficult to integrate more life force. The life force integrated into the wood spiritual energy did not dissipate. He put the spirit-gathering bead full of wood spiritual energy and life force into the spiritual bead. The spirit-gathering bead had been in the spiritual bead for a few months, but the wood spiritual energy and life force did not decrease significantly. The azure dragon bead had to absorb life force 3 times to fill the spirit-gathering bead. Every time the azure dragon bead was full, it could cast the healing spell 3 times. The life force stored in one spirit-gathering bead was enough to cast the healing spell 9 times. The healing spell of the azure dragon bead was not a low-level spell like the rejuvenation spell. It could completely heal the external wounds within a dozen breaths. Although it could not regenerate a severed limb, it could be recovered in a short time by picking up the severed limb, fixing the wound, and casting the healing spell of the azure dragon bead. The effect of the healing spell of the azure dragon bead was not as good. After all, the amount of life force that could penetrate the internal organs was relatively small. Even so, with this spirit-gathering bead, he would not be afraid of getting injured in a fight. It would be best to refine a few more spirit-gathering beads. When traveling, he would not often have the opportunity to extract life force. The only drawback was that the extraction of life force was similar to that of the fierce blood boars. Filling the spirit-gathering bead once could make 9 fierce blood boars wilt for a few months. Chapter 319. When using the azure dragon pearl to perform a healing technique, all he had to do was to condense the azure dragon pearl and extract the life force from it. The entire process would take less than 10 breaths of time, and it would have a lot of value in actual combat. In the 2 years that he had been refining the spirit-gathering pearl, Zhao Liang had not been idle and had continuously improved the flying kite. The structure of the flying kite was relatively simple, and the tool pattern was not very complicated. Zhao Liang was now a foundation establishment cultivator, and could process materials much faster than before. He only needed 10 days to refine a flying kite. In these 2 years, he had been constantly flying the flying kite around Jadesong Mountain, testing the flying kite, finding problems, and then modifying it. Thus, one could often see Zhao Liang falling from the sky. He had refined more than 10 flying kites, constantly adjusting the tool pattern. The current tool pattern did not have much in common with the crane feather boat. In addition, he had also tried to add new materials during the refining process, and finally refined a more reliable flying kite. The general appearance of the new flying kite had not changed much. Zhao Liang also felt that the flying kite's shape resembled an eagle, and was more suitable for flying than a boat. He had only made some adjustments to the flying kite's 2 wings and tail, and used the smelting method to add some wind attribute materials. The Wang clan had been doing business with the Green Willow province for several decades, and they had a lot of strange materials, but not a lot of each. Refining the wings did not consume many wind attribute materials, but the increase in speed was very obvious. According to Zhao Liang's estimates, the flying kite's maximum speed could reach 4,300 kilometers in 2 hours. However, the flying kite's problem of violently trembling when flying at high speed had not been completely resolved. The current flying kite could only reach a little more than 4,500 kilometers in 2 hours. After reaching 4,100 kilometers, it would continue to tremble violently. The consumption of spiritual energy had also been improved. The standard speed was about 3,600 kilometers, and the consumption of spiritual energy was less than half of that of sword kinesis flight. Wang Daoyuan was already very satisfied with this speed. The maximum speed of an early Zifu realm cultivator was only 3,600 kilometers in 2 hours. As long as one was not a sword cultivator, it would be harder and harder to increase the speed of sword kinesis flight. A middle Zifu realm cultivator's maximum speed was 4,500 kilometers in 2 hours. The flying kite's current speed was comparable to that of a middle Zifu disciple. Although the flying kite had only one function, it could be used by most foundation establishment cultivators. Its structure was simple, and its price was only 6,000 to 7,000 spirit stones. It could be considered a good item at a good price. Just as Wang Daoyuan was about to fly out and test the speed of the new flying kite, the patriarch sent a message saying that someone from the underworld sect was looking for him, asking him to hurry back. He didn't have the time to experience the speed of the flying kite. On the way back to the mountain, he didn't dare to drive the flying kite. After all, this thing still needed to be kept a secret. Once the Netherworld sect found out that he had such a good item, they would force him to hand over the refinement method. Then, the speed advantage he had over cultivators of the same level and even early-stage Zifu realm cultivators would be completely gone. After arriving at the Jade Spring Peak, he learned that someone from the Netherworld sect had come to look for Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan was a little scared. Could it be that the Underworld sect's Golden Core elders had found out about his deletion of the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon art and came to denounce him? He entered the hall and found that the person was someone he knew. It was Luo Jiuyo's descendant, Luo Hongming, and his 12th uncle, Wang Shui, was talking to him. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan had returned, Luo Hongming smiled and said, "Dao Yu is finally back. Granduncle ordered me to come and invite Dao Yu to the mountain gate." Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Young Master Luo, may I ask why the sect master has ordered me to go to the mountain gate so that I can make some preparations?" Luo Hongming smiled and said, "This matter isn't considered a secret. There are no outsiders here, so there's no harm in talking about it. The Golden Core elders have decided to refine their own flying battleships. They've invited all the third-rank craftsmen and formation masters from the affiliated forces to go to the mountain gate of the Underworld sect to help. The flying battleships of the Underworld sect in the past were all bought from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. According to the agreement between the Divine Weapon Pavilion and the local forces, there's a limit to the number of flying battleships that each force can buy. Now that the sect needs more flying battleships and the Divine Weapon Pavilion can't sell them, the Golden Core elders want the sect to build their own." Wang Daoyuan thought for a while and said, "Since the elders are inviting third-rank craftsmen, how can I, a second-rank upper-rank craftsman, dare to accept? As far as I know, flying battleships are all third-rank magic tools. I'm just a second-rank craftsman, so I can't help." Luo Hongming smiled and said, "Dao Yu is too modest. Who doesn't know that Dao Yu is proficient in alchemy, craftsman, and talisman arrays?" Of the flying battleships of the Wang family, except for one that's used to repair broken magic tools, the rest were all refined by Yu. Lei Yan's disciple who married into the Wang family was only a second-rank middle-rank craftsman. He could only be Dao Yu's assistant. The core of these flying battleships could be said to be refined by Dao Yu. Although there are many third-rank craftsmen and array masters invited by the sect, they don't have experience in refining flying battleships. Our sect's cultivators only have experience in repairing flying battleships and very little experience in refining flying battleships. That's why we need Dao Yu, an expert who has refined many flying battleships. I saw that the outer shell of the Wang family's flying battleships are inscribed with many tool patterns that can launch magic attacks. It's more like a flying battleship. Moreover, helping to refine flying battleships is also very beneficial to Dao Yu. As far as I know, Dao Yu's attainments in craftsmen and arrays have been stuck at second rank upper rank for many years, right? He must be lacking materials and guidance from third rank craftsmen and array masters. Needless to say, there are dozens of third-rank craftsmen and array masters to guide him on this trip to the Netherworld sect. Presumably, it won't be long before Dao Yu's attainments in craftsmen and arrays break through to third rank lower rank. After saying that, Luo Hongming looked at Wang Daoyuan meaningfully. If he didn't agree, the Netherworld sect would say that the Wang family's flying battleship was a flying battleship. At that time, a casual punishment would be enough to hurt the Wang family's bones. Wang Daoyuan also knew that he couldn't refuse. If he went, he could improve his craftsmen and arrays, so there was no harm in going. No matter what, the Netherworld sect wouldn't detain him. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "In that case, I'm willing to go to the sect and work for it." Hearing this, Luo Hongming laughed heartily. The Wang family is indeed loyal to the sect. I'll definitely report it to the sect master. I still have to invite other craftsmen and array masters, so I'll take my leave first. Dao Yu, please come to the clear glass market in 3 days. We'll set off together and go to the sect. Wang Daoyuan naturally agreed and sent Luo Hongming out of the mountain. After returning to the hall, Wang Daoyuan asked Wang Shui, 12th uncle, during my absence, did the situation in Zhao country change? The Netherworld sect has a lot of tier 3 craftsmen and array masters, but it's not a problem to gather 20 or 30 of them. To build flying battleships, they don't need to recruit a large number of people from the affiliated families. The Netherworld sect gathered so many craftsmen and array masters, including a tier 2 upper grade one like me, to build a large number of flying battleships in a short time. If there's no war, there's no need to be in such a hurry. Wang Shi thought for a long time and couldn't think of a reason. He shook his head and said, these years, the 3 major sects haven't had any conflicts. They even built a new market at the intersection of the 3 sections. They're so harmonious that they're just short of wearing a pair of pants. I haven't heard of any major issues. If they don't fight the other 2 major sects, and the Netherworld sect doesn't have borders with other countries, the Netherworld sect won't dare to make a big move in the sky-chopping mountain range. So, to build so many flying battleships, is the Netherworld sect going to attack the demon race in the north of the mountain? Other than that, I really can't think of anyone else the Netherworld sect can attack. Chapter 320. Wang Daoyuan couldn't figure it out either. He smiled. If I can't figure it out, I won't think about it. I'll just pretend to be a grandson. Even if they attack someone, I'm a talent who can forge flying boats. I won't be thrown to the front as cannon fodder, right? I'll make use of these 3 days to prepare some more things. Wang Daoyuan left the hall and returned to his cave abode. He didn't have many things to prepare. He only needed to take out the things he usually used from the space of the spirit pearl and put them into his storage bag. He didn't want to expose himself if he took them out from the space of the spirit pearl when he needed them. Zifu realm cultivators wouldn't be able to see through him taking things out from the space of the spirit pearl. But going to the Netherworld sect's mountain gate meant that he was moving under the eyes of a golden core cultivator. He wasn't sure if he would be discovered. There was no need to risk his life to test a golden core cultivator. It was better to be honest. Apart from that, he also had to use his cultivation technique to change the attribute of his spirit power, turning it into ordinary spirit power. It was inevitable to use spirit power when forging flying boats. It was too easy to be exposed. After preparing, he headed to the clear glass market and gathered at the Netherworld sect's encampment. At the entrance of the encampment, he saw the patriarch of the Yang family, Yang Ziyuan, and a foundation establishment elder of the Liang family. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands towards Yang Ziyuan. Greetings, senior. Yang Ziyuan smiled. Oh, it's Beiyuan. You're already at the 8th level of foundation establishment. The first time I saw you was in Gold Goose City. At that time, you were only at the 7th level of Qi refinement. I didn't expect that in just a few decades, your cultivation would catch up to mine. You're also proficient in pill, weapon, and talisman arrays. To be invited by the sect, it seems that you're also at the 3rd level of formation and weapon forging. The younger generation will surpass us in time. Wang Daoyuan explained, I've had some fortuitous encounters these years and my cultivation has improved a little. As for weapon forging and formation, I'm only at the 2nd level of high grade. I'm still far from senior's level. It's only because I forged the core of a flying boat alone that I was invited. That's not bad. You're proficient in pill, weapon, and talisman arrays, and your cultivation hasn't fallen behind. Yang Ziyuan sighed. The Yang clans Yulin and Yuhu who are similar in age to you are only at the 5th level of the foundation establishment realm. Yulin's weapon refinement is only at the middle grade of the 2nd level. He's far inferior to you. After the two chatted for a bit, Yang Yong accompanied an old man out. This old man's spiritual energy ripples were even stronger than Yang Yong's. He should be a late-stage Sifu disciple. The old man looked at the crowd and laughed. This northern part of Qingli Prefecture is really full of talents. There are actually 7 3rd-rank armament masters and array masters. This matter is urgent, and I don't have time to explain it to you in detail. Follow me to the mountain gate. When you get there, someone will tell you what to do. After saying that, he waved his hand and a flying ship that was over 30 meters long appeared in front of everyone. The spiritual energy fluctuations emitted from this flying boat far exceeded those that Wang Daoyuan had refined. It should be a rank 3 magic tool. Everyone boarded the flying boat, and the old man entered the cabin to control the flying boat. After the flying boat took off, its speed soared rapidly. After 20 breaths, the speed stabilized. Wang Daoyuan estimated that the current speed should be around 4,500 to 600 kilometers in 2 hours. This speed was enough to crush the majority of Zifu disciple. However, the strength of the materials used for this flying boat was not good enough. It should not be a flying warship. The so-called warship was a flying boat that could directly participate in battle. The warship was equipped with all kinds of offensive magic tools, and it was also inscribed with offensive formation patterns. It was usually used to make up for the lack of high-end combat power. A rank 4 flying warship could even go head-to-head with a golden core cultivator. Therefore, the materials used for the flying warship were all excellent. They did not consider things like the consumption of spiritual energy. They only needed to be able to fight and also be able to catch up with the enemy. However, only the Divine Weapon Pavilion could build a rank 4 flying warship. This was also an important reason why the Divine Weapon Pavilion was able to maintain its position as one of the top forces in Beiyuan. The flying boat under their feet was indeed fast, but the materials used were not strong enough. It also did not have any offensive magic tools. It should be a transport boat used to transport resources and cultivators. The flying boat's speed was very fast. After 16 hours, they arrived at the mountain gate of the Netherworld sect. The flying boat slowly landed in front of the mountain gate. Everyone jumped off the boat. 20 meters north of here was the mountain gate of the Netherworld sect. This was the Guanshan County of the past. It was surrounded by mountain ranges. In the middle was a river valley formed by erosion. The Netherworld sect was located in this valley. The mountain gate was built at the bottom of the valley. There was nothing special about it. It was just a white stone arch that was 100 meters tall and 30 meters wide. In the middle of the arch were the words, Netherworld Sect. On both sides of the arch were 10 middle foundation establishment cultivators. The group of people under the lead of the Zifu disciple entered the mountain gate. When the disciples guarding the gate saw that the Zifu disciple was leading the group, they did not question them. After entering the mountain gate, there was a 10-kilometer-long stone staircase. At the end of the staircase was a palace, which was the highest point of the Netherworld sect. The Zifu disciple said to the group, "At the top of this staircase is the conference hall. That is where the sect master and the elders discuss matters. Cultivators below the Zifu disciple level are not allowed to fly on the staircase between the mountain gate and the conference hall unless there is an urgent matter to report. If you violate this taboo, you will be punished by the sect. Follow me to the tool forging hall." After saying this, he flew on his sword towards a mountain peak in the southwest direction of the conference hall. The group followed closely behind. This mountain peak was extremely large, but the flat area at the top was somewhat narrow. At the top of the mountain, there was a small palace-like building. On both sides of the palace were 2 rows of tool forging workshops. The group landed on the mountain peak. A red-robed cultivator walked out of the palace and smiled. "You've finally arrived. We were waiting for you to come help us." The Zifu disciple led the group in saluting. "Greetings, Hall Master." The person in front of them was the Hall Master of the tool forging hall. He waved his hand and said, "Don't worry about these unnecessary formalities. The sect master has ordered me to create 20 low-grade Grade 3 warships within half a year. I've been worried to death. There's no need for formalities. Hurry up and help out. If there's anything you need, just tell me. Yin Chang, I'll leave these people to you. If there's anything you need, you'll be responsible for it. I still have to go forge the core of the warships. I'll leave these trivial matters to you." The old man cupped his hands and said, "Yes, Hall Master." Then, he threw a jade talisman to Wang Daoyuan and the others, saying, "Those who have experience in forging flying ships, go to the first tool forging workshop in the east to help. Those who don't have experience, go to the workshop in the west to learn. If there's anything you need, use the jade talisman to contact me." Everyone cupped their hands and said yes. Wang Daoyuan had experience in forging flying ships, so he entered the first tool forging workshop in the east. The workshop was built with stone materials. The area was very small, and it didn't look like it could accommodate many people. There was no set of tools in the workshop. There was only a huge table. Behind the table was a Peak Foundation establishment cultivator. He was lying on the table and drawing something. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come in, he asked, "Dao Yu has forged flying ships before? How are your skills in forging formations?" Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "I've forged a few flying ships. My forging skills and formations are all second-rank high grade." Hearing this, the Peak Foundation establishment cultivator said in surprise, "Then I've picked up a treasure. So, you know all the processes of forging flying ships?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "I do know, but my forging skills and formations are only second-rank high grade. I really can't help in forging third-rank flying ships." The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator smiled and said, "You can slowly improve your skills. You just need to know the trade. What I lack the most is people who know the trade. To be honest, I've only forged second-rank flying ships before. However, I only know how to forge artifacts and cooperate with others. In terms of experience, I'm not as good as you, so I was forced to manage a tool forging workshop here. Use your divine sense to suppress me. Let me see how your divine sense cultivation is." Wang Daoyuan's divine sense erupted and suppressed the Peak Foundation establishment cultivator. Under the effect of his powerful divine sense, the paper on the table floated up. The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator staggered and almost fell to the ground. Chapter 321. The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator got up to avoid Wang Daoyuan's divine sense suppression and shouted, "Stop, stop. Daoyu's divine sense cultivation is much higher than mine. Inscribing a mid-grade level 3 artifact pattern is not a problem for him. How can he only be a high-grade level 2 artifact master?" Wang Daoyuan retracted his divine sense and smiled. "Cultivators of our families are not like Dao Yu, who has a level 3 artifact master to guide him. My artifact forging and formation skills are already the highest in the family and I don't have any elders to guide me. Plus, I'm busy raising my cultivation, so my progress in artifact forging and formation skills is slower. The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator smiled. I'm also from a family, and it's an old family. My life hasn't been good for so many years. It's only because I successfully built my foundation and became a level 3 artifact master that my family's life got better. My name is Su Tingxian. May I ask what Daoyu's name is? Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands. Wang Daoyuan of Jade Spring Peak of Qingli County greets Daoyu Su. Su Tingxian had a shocked expression and only recovered after a long time. He asked, "You're the one who defeated 5 people in the middle stage foundation establishment duel and heavily injured the number 1 genius of Cruel Sun Palace, Wang Daoyuan? Speaking of which, our families are old friends. My family is in the south of Qingli County. When spiritual master Jade Spring was still alive, my family had a marriage alliance with the Wang family. I still have the blood of the Wang family flowing in my body. Since I met the descendant of spiritual master Jade Spring here, I have to help him. Follow me, I'll personally teach you how to inscribe a level 3 artifact pattern." With Daoyu's divine sense cultivation and talent, it won't take long for him to become a level 3 artifact master. The Wang family's rise in recent years was very obvious. They had produced a Zifu realm cultivator who was only 100 years old and more than 10 foundation establishment cultivators. This strength was second to none in the entire Qingli County. Su Tingshuan's family was also in Qingli County, and it was inevitable that he would have to deal with the Wang family in the future. If he were to build a good relationship with him now, there would be many benefits in the future. Su Tingxian took out a token and activated it with his spirit power. A few stone slabs on the ground moved away, revealing a 10 square feet hole with stairs below. As soon as the hole opened, a wave of heat gushed out. No wonder this crafting workshop was so small and didn't have any tools for crafting. It turned out that the real crafting room was hidden underground. The mountain where the refining hall was located had a small top and a large body. It was very suitable for building underground buildings. Su Tingxian led Wang Daoyuan underground. The further down they went, the hotter it became. The two of them walked down for more than 1,000 feet and found many places where refining materials were stored. They continued to descend, reaching a depth of over 500 feet, which was the bottom of the underground cavern. At the bottom was a circular space with a diameter of about 300 meters. There was a circular corridor close to the rock wall. On the rock wall outside the corridor, there were refining rooms. Every crafting room had a fire eye. The fire in these fire eyes was the earth fire that was drawn out from the ground using an array. The two of them came to the entrance of the corridor. There was a table here with a sloppy cultivator in the late stage of foundation establishment sitting at the table. There was also a wine gourd on the table. This sloppy cultivator was the manager of the crafting room. When he saw Su Tingxian coming, he asked, "Old Su, you are a busy man. Why didn't you study the patterns on the flying warship? Why did you come to my place?" Su Tingxian smiled and said, "You old drunkard don't know shit. I picked up a treasure. This Wang Daoyu is proficient in crafting and array formations. He has personally refined several flying ships. It's just because he didn't have anyone to guide him, so he's only at the upper grade of the 2nd rank. His spiritual sense cultivation is stronger than mine. With my guidance, he will soon reach the lower grade of the 3rd rank. If his array formation attainments can break through to the 3rd rank, he will be able to refine the core of an array formation. At that time, wouldn't it be easy for our crafting workshop to complete the task? Quickly open a crafting room for me. I will personally teach him how to craft." The old drunkard threw a red token to Su Tingxian. He opened the wine gourd and took a sip. He asked, "Is this kid so powerful?" Su Tingxian took the token. Before he could speak, Daoyu sniffed hard and said, 70 years of drunken dragon wine. What a pity. If this drunken dragon wine could be stored for 100 years, it would be a 3rd rank spirit wine. I don't know if Daoyu still has live drunken dragon grass or seeds. I can use wine to exchange. The old drunkard suddenly became spirited and said, "This Dao Yu is so young. I didn't expect you to be a wine cultivator. This is indeed 70 years of drunken dragon wine. I do have some drunken dragon grass seeds. If you can help our East First crafting workshop refine the flying ship first, we will get the sect master's reward. It's just drunken dragon grass seeds, so it's fine to give them to you." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Since Dao Yu said so, then I will do my best." After saying that, he followed Su Tingxian into the earth fire room. The tools in the earth fire room were all available, so he didn't need to prepare anything. Su Tingxian took out 2 large pieces of metal from his storage bag and threw one to Wang Daoyuan. He said solemnly, "This is the material used to refine a low-grade 3rd-rank flying warship side plate. Every single part of the flying warship has to be at the level of a low-grade 3rd-rank magic artifact. This way, it can guarantee that it won't be at a disadvantage in a head-on clash with a Zifu realm cultivator. I will demonstrate it to you once. Watch carefully." After saying that, Su Tingxian placed a piece of metal into the fire eye and heated it up with earth fire. After the piece of metal was red hot, he placed it on the anvil and began to forge it with a hammer. 2 hours later, the metal was forged into a 2 feet square and half an inch thick metal plate. After that, he took out a chisel knife and began to inscribe the pattern on the metal plate. He used an entire day's time to finish inscribing the entire side plate. He said with a smile, "At this point, a single side plate is enough. You just need to heat it up and quench it. If you want to refine the core of the flying warship, you need to inlay metal wires in the pattern to increase the spirit energy transmission. This is the difference between a 3rd-rank flying warship and a 2nd-rank flying warship. I will teach you the method of inlaying metal wires later. For now, you need to learn the most basic method. Your spiritual sense is strong enough, so this won't be a problem for you. You can try it yourself." Wang Daoyuan picked up another piece of metal and imitated Su Tingxuan's method of heating it up and forging it before inscribing the pattern. Heating and forging weren't meticulous work, so it didn't matter if there were some small problems. However, there couldn't be any mistakes when inscribing the pattern later. Wang Daoyuan didn't have any experience in inscribing a 3rd-rank pattern, so he failed twice during the process. Under Su Tingxuan's guidance, he succeeded in refining a side plate on the 3rd try. Su Tingxian said with a smile, "If you can succeed once out of 3 times, you can be considered a low-grade 3rd-rank tool refiner. Let me show you the quenching technique again. It's not that difficult. You just need to watch it once." Then, Su Tingxian explained to him in detail how to heat it up and how to quench it. The difficulty of this was very low. After Wang Daoyuan looked at it once, he was able to successfully craft a flying warship side plank. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, Dao Yu Su, for your guidance. In these few days, I've improved more than in the past 10 years. Su Tingxian waved his hand and said, "Dao Yu, you don't have to be so polite. Later on, when you set up the array on the magic tool and inscribe the array pattern, just give me some pointers. However, I don't have your talent. When I learned how to refine a 3rd-rank magic tool, I failed more than 10 times before I succeeded. The Purple Mansion elder who taught me how to refine magic tools was furious. Don't despise me." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "What are you talking about? We can train each other. I won't despise Dao Yu." Chapter 322. Su Tingxian also taught Wang Daoyuan how to forge the deck, ribs, and other parts of the ship. He had already adapted to inscribing a 3rd-order tool pattern. There was not much difference in forging, quenching, and other processes. Apart from the core and the keel, he mastered all the other parts in a short time. Su Tingxian smiled and said, "I finally know why the senior who taught me didn't like me and liked a few talented senior brothers. It's so comfortable to teach smart people. They can learn it once and understand it with just a little bit. When your refining level is enough, you can learn array formations from Old Drunkard and strive to become a third-order low-grade array master as soon as possible. Now, our workshop can't refine the keel and core yet. Those experts who can are led by the hall master to refine them in the main hall. When they are done, they will distribute them to each workshop. If your array formation level reaches third-order low-grade, you will be able to refine the keel and core yourself. Our progress will be much faster. The sect master and palace master had given the order that the first crafting workshop to complete 2 flying warships would be rewarded handsomely by the entire crafting workshop. Although they didn't say what the reward was, the sect master has always been generous to disciples who are proficient in the various arts of cultivation. It's not impossible for him to bestow the Yin-Yang purple jade. I don't have the ability to refine it in advance, but whether I can take the lead or not will depend on you. After saying that, he brought Wang Daoyuan out of the workshop and to the entrance of the corridor. Old Drunkard was dozing off when Su Tingxian kicked him and said, "Stop drinking. This little brother is already a third-order low-grade artificer. You teach him array formations. His talent is much higher than yours. Back then, when you came to me to learn refining, I taught you for a few years, and you barely reached second order. This little brother only took a few days to advance from second order to third order." Old Drunkard had just opened his eyes when he heard Su Tingxian exposing his shortcomings. He scolded, "Old Ghost Su, you're bullshitting. Don't you know what you're capable of? When you learned array formations from me back then, you took 5 years to advance from first order high grade to second order low grade, and you still have the face to talk about me." Su Tingxian smiled awkwardly and said, "Let's not bicker and let Brother Wang see a joke. He's also a disciple of an old family and is proficient in alchemy, smithing, and talisman arrays. He's not someone we can compare to. Don't hide anything. Our hope lies with Brother Wang." The Old Drunkard was startled. Proficient in all 4 Daos and a descendant of an old family. He's Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I am indeed Wang Daoyuan. Am I very famous in the underworld sect?" The Old Drunkard stood up and said, "Isn't that obvious? Fighting against the elite disciples of the Savage Sun Pillar, winning 5 times in a row, and even heavily injuring Lei Wudao in the end. We all know that kid Lei Wudao. Back then, his battle prowess was comparable to an 8th-level Foundation establishment cultivator. Now, he's probably even stronger than me and Old Ghost Su. Your cultivation is 1 level lower than his, but you can still injure him. Who among the disciples of the Netherworld sect doesn't know that you are invincible in the same level? Oh right, I heard that you can hold your liquor quite well. During the duel between the 2 sects, did you drink a jug of wine in one go? Let's have a drink sometime." Wang Daoyuan took out 2 jars of spirit peach dew that had been stored in the cellar for 20 years and handed them to the Old Drunkard. If she wanted to learn formations from him, she should at least show some appreciation. There were quite a few that had been stored in the cellar for several hundred years in his space, but taking out several hundred years of wine was hard to explain. The Old Drunkard took the wine jug, opened it, and tasted a mouthful, saying, "This is the Wang family spirit peach dew, right? It's indeed a good wine. Although it's a little lacking in strength, the effect of recovering spiritual energy is strong enough. The taste doesn't lose to my drunken dragon wine." Finished talking, he took out a refined formation plate and a blank formation plate, saying, "You are a high-grade tier 2 formation master. I don't need to teach you the basics. Just imitate and inscribe formation patterns on this formation plate. If there's anything you don't understand, you can ask me." These 2 formation plates were both refined with metal materials. It didn't matter if there was a problem with inscribing the artifact patterns. He could just refine it again. Su Tingxian also took out a blank formation plate and inscribed formation patterns on the side. The Old Drunkard said mockingly, "Old Ghost Su, don't lose face. After learning from me for several decades, you're still a low-grade tier 2 formation master. When inscribing formation patterns, always inscribing the artifact patterns. Inscribing formation patterns and artifact patterns together, can that work?" You're just wasting materials by learning array formations. Su Tingxian ignored him and focused on inscribing the formation patterns. There weren't many formation patterns on this formation plate. Wang Daoyuan used 5 to 6 days and only failed once to complete the inscription. Although there were many small mistakes along the way, they were all made up under the old drunkard's guidance. The old drunkard laughed. Old ghost Su, do you see that? Don't waste time. You're not cut out to learn formations. Why don't you just focus on refining? In the following 2 months, the old drunkard taught all the formations needed to be used on the flying warship. Wang Daoyuan also learned them all. Of course, this was refined on ordinary materials. The flying warship's core and keel had to be inscribed with many formation and artifact patterns, densely covering the entire material. The biggest problem was to ensure that the artifact patterns and formation patterns didn't interfere with each other. Therefore, Wang Daoyuan was still far from actually refining a flying warship. Moreover, refining a flying warship wasn't as simple as refining a flying boat. Every material had to be refined into a low-grade Tier 3 magic artifact. If he were to do it himself, he might not be able to complete it in 10 years. This was under the condition that he had ready-made materials and could save the process of purifying the materials. Refining a flying warship required many artificers. Just in the East First Crafting Workshop alone, there were 7 or 8 Tier 3 artificers and more than 10 Tier 2 artificers as assistants. These were only the people who refined the non-core structure of the flying warship. If he couldn't refine it in large quantities, it would be better to nurture a few Zifu realm cultivators than to raise so many artificers. However, if he were to refine a low-grade Tier 3 flying warship on a large scale, he would need to consume countless Tier 3 materials. Ordinary factions wouldn't be able to afford such a price. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to refine a Tier 3 flying warship for fun, but now it seemed impossible. He couldn't even gather the materials. This was also the reason why the underworld sect didn't worry about the artificers and formation masters of the affiliated clans. Even if they gave out the entire refining method, no clan would be able to refine it. It didn't matter if they sold it to other factions. Any faction that had the ability to refine a flying warship didn't lack the refining method. Seeing that his artificer and formation skills were up to standard, Su Tingxian and Old Drunkard brought him to an extremely spacious refining workshop. There was a metal pillar that was more than 30 meters long and 1 meter in diameter. There were many holes on it. Su Tingxian smiled and said, "Brother Wang, this is the embryonic form of the dragon bone. The two of us aren't proficient in both daos, and our cooperation isn't that good either. We don't dare to act rashly." After saying that, he handed over a piece of beast skin and said, "This is the refining method of the dragon bone. The two of us are proficient in only one Dao, but this dragon bone is a mixture of artifact and formation patterns. It's hard for us to even look at it. Now that we have you, an expert proficient in both artifact and formation, we can refine the dragon bone. Since you're proficient in both Daos, you know how to prevent the artifact and formation patterns from interfering with each other. You'll take command. Old Drunkard and I will do it. If there's anything wrong, you'll take action." Wang Daoyuan spent over 10 days to understand the formation and artifact patterns on the dragon bone. He then began to instruct the other two to engrave the formation and artifact patterns on the dragon bone. In order to prevent the formation and artifact patterns from interfering with each other, the engraving position couldn't be wrong at all. After the engraving was completed, they had to embed materials that would facilitate the passage of spiritual power into the artifact and formation patterns. After the embedding, they had to use the powder of the materials used to refine the dragon bone. After smelting, they had to seal the artifact and formation patterns. The entire dragon bone looked like a single entity. There were no traces of artifact and formation patterns on the outside. This way, they could prevent the artifact and formation patterns from interfering with each other to the greatest extent. Moreover, they could protect the artifact and formation patterns and prolong their lifespan. The three of them used a month's time to complete the refinement of one dragon bone. Chapter 323. After the dragon bone was refined, Su Tingxian immediately ran into the main hall and reported to the artifact forging hall master. Not long after, he brought a Zifu realm cultivator to the forging room where the dragon bone was being refined. This Zifu realm cultivator was Yin Chang, who had brought Wang Daoyuan here before. After entering the forging room, he placed one hand on the dragon bone. His hand flashed with intense spirit energy, and the dragon bone instantly became 5 inches long. Then, he made the dragon bone 2 feet long. Holding the dragon bone with both hands, he bent it forcefully, but the dragon bone did not move at all. Yin Chang smiled and said, "This dragon bone is qualified. I'll take it to the artifact forging hall master." Not long after, Yin Chang came to the East First Forging Workshop again with 5 people behind him. Seeing Wang Daoyuan and the other 2, he smiled and said, "Your dragon bone was refined very well. The artifact forging hall master is very satisfied. In the future, your East First Forging Workshop can also refine dragon bones and flying warship cores. In addition, you can't give up on refining ribs, decks, and other parts. The artifact forging hall master is worried that you don't have enough people, so he gave you 3 third-rank low-grade artificers and 2 third-rank low-grade formation masters. These 5 people also participated in the refining of the flying warship cores and can be of great help. Also, this dragon bone you refined is also for you to use. There are less than 3 months left before the half-year deadline set by the sect master. It's a bit tight to build 20 flying warships. In the remaining time, try your best to refine 1 more flying warship. If you can complete the task, the artifact forging hall master will reward you." After saying that, he handed a 3-foot-long dragon bone and a storage pouch to Su Tingxian, turned and walked out of the workshop. Su Tingxian opened the storage pouch and saw that there was a beast skin book inside. The book recorded the refining method of each part of the 3rd-rank flying warship. This beast skin book had a total of 16 pages, 7 of which recorded the refining method of the flying warship core. Wang Daoyuan spent more than 10 days to understand the refining method of the dragon bone. Now that there were less than 3 months left, it was not enough to use all of the time to understand the refining method. Obviously, it was impossible for him to see through it before refining it. He could only understand a part of it by himself and get others to help him refine the rest. The entire core of the battleship was made up of dozens of components. Before they could understand the tool patterns and formation patterns, they had to forge the prototypes of the components first. Wang Daoyuan then seized the time to study the tool patterns and formation patterns. Every time he thoroughly understood the refining method of a component, he would instruct everyone to inscribe tool patterns and array patterns on the components. In order to save time, Wang Daoyuan was completely multitasking. While commanding everyone, he continued to think about the refining method. Even so, there was still not enough time. A month later, the temple master sent over a dragon bone and a set of completed battleship cores. Previously, when Wang Daoyuan and the others were refining the dragon bones, a set had already been sent over. However, that set had already been assembled by other weapon refiners and could not be disassembled, so it could not be used as a reference. Now that another set had been delivered to him, it would be much easier for him to comprehend it. Even if the tool patterns and formation patterns were hidden, this little trick could not be hidden from the eyes of the weapon refiners and array masters. In 5 or 6 days, they could thoroughly understand the contents of a page of beast skin book. When others were inscribing array patterns and tool patterns, they had a reference and were much faster. After 2.5 months, Wang Daoyuan and the others successfully refined a set of warship cores. In the remaining 10 or so days, all the components of the 2 warships were completed. They only needed to assemble the components into 2 flying warships. This was not an easy task, but with more than a dozen third-tier lower-grade weapon refiners and array masters and more than a dozen second-tier weapon refiners, the assembly work was not difficult for them. When half a year was up, the East First Weapon Workshop had refined a total of 3 flying warships, one of which was completely refined by the workshop. The other 2 were the dragon bones and cores sent by the temple master. They refined the outer shell and assembled it. There were a total of 10 weapon workshops in the weapon refining hall. To refine 20 flying warships in half a year, one workshop should be able to refine 2. The East First Weapon Workshop had refined 3 flying warships, which had exceeded the quota, so the reward was not a problem. The deadline was up, and the sect master would soon bring a few elders to the weapon workshop to check on the completion of the flying warships. The temple master had not finished refining the core of the 20th warship. Yin Chang hurriedly ran to the East First Weapon Workshop and saw Wang Daoyuan and the others chatting and laughing. He asked, "How is the set of warship cores that you refined by yourselves?" Su Tingxian took Yin Chang to see the 3 weapon workshops. In each workshop, there was a completed warship, and the second-tier weapon refiners were testing the functions of the warships. Seeing this, Yin Chang breathed a sigh of relief and said, "So close, it's finally completed. If you did not refine this warship, our weapon refining hall's mission would have failed. Fortunately, you completed the mission above expectations, so you will be rewarded." With that, he left the weapon workshop and went to the main hall to report the situation to the hall master. Not long after, Luo Jiuyo brought a few Purple Mansion elders to the weapon refining hall. The weapon refining hall master led a few Purple Mansion stewards to welcome them outside the hall. After saluting, Luo Jiuyo asked, "Hall Master Gu, have the 20 flying warships been refined?" Hall Master Gu saluted and said, "Sect Master, the 20 flying warships have been refined, but the weapon workshops are still testing them. Sect Master and elders, please take a rest in the hall. When the testing is over, I will order people to bring the warships to the main hall." Luo Jiuyo waved his hand and said, "No need to be so troublesome, I will personally see how they are refining." Hall Master Gu could not refuse, so he led Luo Jiuyo and the others to the East First Weapon Workshop. At this time, the 3 flying warships had been tested, and there were no problems. Wang Daoyuan and the others were preparing to put away the flying warships and send them to the main hall. Luo Jiuyo, accompanied by Hall Master Gu, brought a group of people here. Wang Daoyuan and the others immediately saluted and said, "Greetings, Sect Master, Hall Master, and elders." Luo Jiuyo smiled and said, "No need to be so polite, I am also here to see how the flying warships are refined." Hall Master Gu asked, "Steward Su, where are the 3 flying warships on your side? Take them out for the sect master and elders to inspect." Su Tingxian ordered a few second-stage weapon refiners to bring the flying warships out of the weapon workshop. Under the control of a few cultivators, the 3 flying warships floated in front of everyone. Su Tingxian cupped his hands and said, "Sect Master, Hall Master, elders, the speed of these flying warships has not been tested, but the rest have been tested, and no problems have been found." Then, under Su Tingshuan's command, the cultivators demonstrated the basic functions of the flying warships such as floating, moving, ascending and descending, as well as enlarging and shrinking. In order to show his face, Hall Master Gu even ordered a few cultivators to control the flying warships to attack him. There was no requirement to install offensive magic artifacts on the flying warships, and they could only use the tool patterns inscribed on the flying warships to unleash magical attacks. Several third-stage magical techniques were cast, and their power was not bad. Of course, they were unable to injure Hall Master Gu, who was at the peak of the Zifu stage. A Zifu elder said, "The attack power is not weak, but the attack methods are too simple." Su Tingxian said, reporting to elder, "When we were assigned the task of refining, there was no requirement to install offensive magic artifacts on the warships. Thus, there are only a few offensive tool patterns on the warships. If we install offensive magic artifacts, there will naturally be more offensive methods." This Zifu elder was somewhat puzzled and asked, "The main offensive method of the flying warships is magic artifacts. Why are there no offensive magic artifacts installed?" Chapter 324. This was also a question that Wang Daoyuan really wanted to ask. The Netherworld sect didn't encounter any major issues, but they suddenly gathered all the artificers and array masters in their affiliated forces to refine 20 flying warships. If he was in a hurry to refine a flying warship, then he would definitely want to go to war, but he didn't install any offensive artifacts. Without any offensive artifacts, the flying warship could only display 30% of its combat power. It did not look like it was going to attack other forces. Luo Jiuyo smiled and said, "This isn't a secret. I reckon it will soon spread throughout the entire Zhao state. We're not refining these flying warships for our own use, but to sell them to the myriad spirit sect." The south of the state of Zhao bordered the state of Song. 5 years ago, the state of Song started to attack the Wuxia Pass on the border of the state of Zhao. Over the years, it was not uncommon for the neighboring countries to attack the borders of the Zhao kingdom. The Cruel Sun Palace and the Wei Kingdom had been fighting at the Cold River Pass for more than 100 years. The Cold River Pass was located in a strategic location. The Wei nation suffered heavy losses and did not gain any advantages. However, Wuxia Pass was not as dangerous as Hanjiang Pass. It was surrounded by low hills, so it was not difficult for it to face a small-scale attack. But this time, the Kingdom of Song had mobilized almost all of its soldiers to attack Wuxia Pass. The Thousand Spirits sect was struggling a bit, so they asked us and the Cruel Sun Palace for help. They were afraid that the two sects would enter their territory and cause trouble, so they only asked the two sects to sell them some artifacts. These 20 flying warships were ordered by the Myriad Spirit sect, and the offensive magic tools were installed by them. That purple mansion elder pondered for a moment and said, "I remember that the Song Kingdom is a small kingdom. In the southeast there is the Qi Kingdom, in the south there is the Wu Kingdom, and in the southwest there is the Chu Kingdom. All of them are much stronger than the Song Kingdom. Furthermore, the Song nation was divided into 6 factions. The royal Song clan did not have an advantage. For 2,000 years, they had been beaten so badly by their neighboring countries that they could not raise their heads. None of the 6 major forces were willing to submit to the other. If they jumped out alone, they wouldn't even be enough for the Myriad Spirit sect to practice on. Where did they get the guts to attack the Myriad Spirit sect?" Luo Jiuyo did not answer. Hall Master Gu continued, "A ruthless person appeared in the royal family of the Song nation. His name is Song Yan. This person's mother was the daughter of Zhao Lai Emperor, and his official wife was the daughter of the 6th prince. He could be considered half a member of the Zhao family, and had gathered many of the remaining members of the Zhao family. In just over 200 years, the Song family's strength had increased greatly. Song Yan was also a man of means. He tried to pull the other 5 factions to his side. More than 30 years ago, the 5 major forces submitted to the Song clan, and the Song kingdom was unified again. In the past few years, Qi, Chu, and Wu had attacked the Song kingdom many times. However, these 3 kingdoms were in a state of disunity. Only a few forces had attacked the Song kingdom. In the end, they failed to take advantage of the Kingdom of Song. On the contrary, the Kingdom of Song regained much of their lost land. More than 10 years ago, the forces of the 3 states withdrew from the Song nation's territory and turned to defense. Song Yan had recovered a large amount of lost land and his prestige had increased greatly. He was a little too conceited and wanted to expand. He did not dare to attack the 3 great nations. To the east was the Heavenly/Mountain Range. To the west was the Zheng nation and the Zhou nation. With a strong nation like the Song nation backing them, he did not dare to attack the Song nation. In addition, with the instigation of the remnants of the Zhao family, the Song kingdom began to have designs on our Zhao kingdom. The 6 major powers of the state of Song combined are weaker than the 3 major sects of the state of Zhao. There are only a dozen or so golden core cultivators in total, which is much weaker than the 20 golden core cultivators in our 3 major sections. Their middle and low-level combat power is also far inferior. But this time, the Kingdom of Song had mobilized almost all of its forces. The Thousand Spirits sect was unable to withstand it. If it was just the Kingdom of Song attacking the Thousand Spirits sect, we could watch the show. But Song Yan is attacking the Thousand Spirits sect in the name of avenging his grandfather and helping the Zhao family restore their kingdom. We can't just ignore it. However, the Thousand Spirits sect can still hold on for now. They only let the Netherworld sect sell some magic weapons. If they can't hold on in the future, we may have to participate in the war. The Zifu disciple took a deep breath and said, but we can't sell all of our flying warships. We have to keep enough warships for ourselves in case we need to fight in the future. Luo Jiuyo smiled and said, Elder Li is right. We can build 20 flying warships in half a year. The Thousand Spirits sect will pay for these warships with spirit stones. We can earn spirit stones and nurture our own refiners and formation masters. In the future, we will build even higher level flying warships. Then, he asked Hallmaster Gu, I remember that the refining hall should have 10 refining workshops. Just the East First refining workshop alone can build 3 warships. Could it be that the refining hall can build 30 warships in half a year? Hallmaster Gu cupped his hands and said, Sect Master, the refining hall is short on manpower. Building 20 flying warships is already very difficult. This little friend of Wang Daoyuan is proficient in both the Tao of artifacts and formations. He has the ability to command refiners and formation masters to build the core and keel of the warships. I sent some extra people to him. One of the 3 warships was made by the East First Crafting Workshop. Luo Jiuyo looked at Wang Daoyuan and said with a smile, so it's Daoyuan. You are really my Netherworld sect's lucky star. More than 40 years ago, you discovered the beast tide in advance and allowed the sect to react in advance. You also took the opportunity to give the Thousand Spirits sect a fierce blow. Last time, when we fought for the Spirit Stone Mine with the Cruel Sun Palace, you heavily injured Lei Wudao and helped the sect take 1/6 of the mine. Now, you can build flying warships for the sect. As long as there is a place for you, the sect will benefit. I really look forward to the day you establish your Zifu and become an elder of the sect. Wang Daoyuan thought, what's the use of saying so much nonsense? Give me a piece of yin yang purple jade. It's more useful than anything. However, he still had to say some polite words. He cupped his hands and said, it's natural to work for the sect. At this time, an elder said in a strange tone, the Wang family was a subject of the Zhao clan. Zhao Lifang Jinren is indebted to Zhao Lifang. Now that the Song Kingdom is using the banner of reviving the Zhao Kingdom, I wonder what the Wang family's position is? Wang Daoyuan thought, is this guy stupid? The sect leader had just finished praising his own achievements, and now you're speaking in such an eccentric manner. Aren't you implying that the sect leader is blind? He's probably another idiot from the foreign faction. He's used to being arrogant in the past few years and doesn't look at the current situation. In the past, there were many experts from the foreign faction. The Netherworld sect and the Cruel Sun Palace fought for territory and needed to rely on the foreign factions. However, most of the foreign factions were alone. The families that were established later couldn't increase the number of people in a short time. These years, they were weak. There were many people in the old families and talented disciples entered the Netherworld sect in large numbers. In the Netherworld sect, the foreign factions still led the upper echelons. However, the middle and lower echelons had an advantage. The remnants of the Zhao clan emerged and the old families' hearts were unstable. The Netherworld sect needed to treat the old families well and compete with the Zhao clan for people's hearts. In addition, Elder Jean was seriously injured. The importance of the foreign factions was getting lower and lower. If they didn't restrain themselves now, they would be courting death. As expected, Luo Jiuyo's expression turned ugly. Wang Daoyuan immediately replied, the Wang family and the Zhao clan didn't have a marriage alliance. What the Wang family got from the Zhao clan was nothing more than Yuchuan Peak. However, in the war back then, our ancestor killed 5 golden core cultivators of the Cruel Sun Palace for the Zhao clan and repaid the Zhao clan's favor. More than half of our clansmen died in the war. None of the clansmen who took the Zhao clan's salary survived. The princes of the Zhao clan abandoned the country and no longer had the right to command it. For more than 300 years, the Wang family was a subject of the Netherworld sect and should serve the Netherworld sect. The Zhao clan was incompetent. Back then, they had a strong army but still couldn't win. Now, the Netherworld sect is thriving, and the Zhao clan is only left with a defeated army. They have no hope of winning. How can the Wang family abandon the light and join the dark side? The Wang family is loyal to the Netherworld sect. I hope the sect master can understand. These words not only showed that the Wang family had no motive to join the Zhao clan but also flattered the Netherworld sect. Luo Jiuyo was very pleased and his expression became much better. He glanced at the elder and angrily rebuked, "The Wang family is naturally loyal to the Netherworld sect and can be called a model for all the clans. As an elder of the sect, you dare to slander a meritorious member of the sect. What are your intentions?" The elder was so frightened that he quickly knelt down and kowtowed to admit his mistake. Chapter 325. At this time, Luo Jiuyo's anger had mostly dissipated. He snorted and said, "Go back to your cave residence and reflect. Don't come out without orders from me or the Grand Elders." After the Violet Mansion elder kowtowed and thanked him, he immediately left the refining hall and went back to his cave residence to reflect. After driving away the annoying fly, Luo Jiuyo smiled and said, "Since Beiyuan can command third-grade lower-grade array masters and refiners to refine third-grade lower-grade flying warships, we'll send more." Then he would send another 23rd-tier lower-grade weapon refiners, 10 third-tier lower-grade array masters, and 52nd-tier weapon refiners. They'll all be under your command to refine flying warships for the sect. As for the other refiners and array masters, they'll be led by Hall Master Gu to refine third-grade middle-grade flying warships. I estimate that the Myriad Spirit sect won't be able to hold on for more than a few years. We'll have to participate in the war sooner or later. If we can have one more warship, we'll have fewer disciples dying. The survival of countless disciples is in your hands. Hall Master Gu and Wang Daoyuan said in unison, "We won't let you down, sect master." Luo Jiuyo nodded with satisfaction. Hall Master Gu asked, "What about the identity of Daoyuan's little friend?" "He hasn't officially joined the sect, so the refiners and array masters won't listen to him." Luo Jiuyo thought for a while and said, "Daoyuan hasn't joined the sect, so it's not convenient for him to take up a post in the sect. His spiritual sense cultivation is extraordinary, so it won't be difficult for him to establish a Violet Mansion. In 20 or 30 years, he'll be an elder. There's no need to change the sect rules for the next 20 or 30 years. Hall Master Gu, give him a steward's token and use it to give orders for the time being." Hall Master Gu took out a token and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. He smiled and said, "Little friend Wang, you'll be a temporary steward. After you establish a Violet Mansion and become an elder, you'll be an official steward." Wang Daoyuan took the token and expressed his gratitude. Luo Jiuyo smiled and said, "I've seen the East First Refining Workshop. There's no need to see the other workshops. The third-grade refiners and array masters will be rewarded with 10,000 spiritual stones each. The second-grade refiners will be rewarded with 3,000 spiritual stones each. Hall Master Gu, arrange for people to send these 20 flying warships to the External Affairs Hall. The cultivators of the Myriad Spirit sect are still waiting in the External Affairs Hall." With that, Luo Jiuyo led the group out of the weapon refining hall. Everyone from the crafting hall bowed and said, "Farewell, sect master." After Luo Jiuyo's group left, Hall Master Gu shouted, "Yin Chang, bring some men and send all the flying warships to the External Affairs Hall." Then, according to the sect master's instructions, he arranged people for little friend Wang. "Little friend Wang, do you still need to change your refining place?" Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "This East First Crafting Workshop is already very good. There is no need to change it." Hall Master Gu nodded and said, "Then we'll continue to stay here. If there's anything, look for Yin Chang. Su Tingxian and Drunkard, you two cooperate with little friend Wang. If you can satisfy the sect master, the Weapon Refining Hall will recommend the two of you to establish a Violet Palace. Su Tingxian and Drunkard were pleasantly surprised. Although they might not be able to get the Yin Yang Purple Jade with the Hall Master's recommendation, it was already very rare. In addition, they had refined the flying warships for the sect, which was a great merit. As long as they were recommended by the Hall Master, the sect master would not bury their contributions. The two cupped their hands and said, "Rest assured, Hall Master. We will definitely cooperate with Dao Yu Wang." Afterward, Hall Master Gu also left with his men. Yin Cheng was very efficient. In just one day, he had brought all the people Luo Jiuyo had asked for. Most of these people were from the affiliated families of the Netherworld sect. Yang Ziyuan, the head of the Yang family, and the Liang family's foundation establishment elder were also among them. Wang Daoyuan preferred to use these people. Although their level was lower than the disciples of the Netherworld sect, they did not have the arrogance of the disciples of the Netherworld sect and were easier to command. Moreover, this group was mainly made up of cultivators from the old families. Fifth great-uncle Wang Jian was now an elder of the Violet Palace, so the cultivators from the old families were also willing to give face to the Wang family. There were also disciples from other families, but they were few in number and would not be able to make any big waves. Wang Daoyuan took out his steward's command medallion and said with a smile, "Fellow Dao Yu Wang, I have received orders from the sect master to lead you Dao Yu in refining the flying warships. Regardless of whether we are from the sect, clan, or faction, we only have one goal. That is to complete the task the sect master gave us. Refining the flying warships well will benefit all of us. Let me say the ugly words first. If anyone causes trouble inside, although it is not convenient for me to act, I still have the ability to report to Hall Master Gu." Although this steward's command medallion was only for temporary use, ordinary people did not dare to look down on it. All the Violet Palace disciples of the Netherworld sect had the title of elder, but this elder was only an honorary title and did not have any real power. Only elders who could participate in important decisions of the sect were truly valuable elders. The stewards of the various halls also had a high status. They were only below the sect master, the elders with real power, and the hall master. Only the Violet Palace elders could hold these positions. Yang Yang's position as the guardian of the clear glass market was on the same level as the stewards of the various halls. In a situation where their ranks were the same, the stewards stationed outside naturally could not compare to the stewards of the sect. Wang Daoyuan's position as a temporary steward was comparable to that of the Violet Palace elders, and was even higher than that of ordinary elders with no duties. This group of foundation establishment disciples did not dare to look down on him. The group of people who had been refining the flying warships with him had originally been under the command of Wang Daoyuan, so they naturally did not have any objections. The old clans naturally did not have any objections, and the disciples of the other clans did not dare to voice their objections. Seeing that no one had any objections, Wang Daoyuan continued, "Apart from me, there are currently 31 third-rank tool forgers and 13 third-rank formation masters. Fellow newcomers Dao Yu, I don't understand your level, so I can't casually assign you. How about this, fellow newcomers Dao Yu will first refine the side plates, ribs, and deck. After I have seen your level of refining, I will assign you other tasks. Fellow new formation masters, you will first assist these 3 experienced formation masters, and then you will be assigned other tasks." Now, he did not need to slowly understand the blueprints. He only needed to hold the blueprints and he could assign tasks to each cultivator. This was because he had more manpower, and in addition to his own improvement. This time, he only used 2 months to refine the flying warships. After the refining was completed, these tool forgers were also selected. There were 5 tool forgers whose level was not very good, and were not suitable to refine the core of the warships. There were also 6 foreign cultivators. In order to prevent them from causing trouble, Wang Daoyuan also pushed them out. These 11 people were responsible for refining the outer shell of the warships. As for the dozens of second-rank tool forgers, they could not inscribe third-rank tool patterns, but it was not a problem for them to collect the materials and forge them into shape. With sufficient manpower, Wang Daoyuan divided the manpower into two groups, and they were both building two flying warships at the same time. At the beginning of the construction, it took 3 months to refine two flying warships. Later on, the participants became familiar with the refining method of the flying warships, and the speed increased continuously. They could finish the refining in 2 months. If they could refine 2 warships at the same time, they could refine 12 flying warships in a year. As for the Myriad Spirit sect, they had to buy a few third-rank lower-rank flying warships every year, as well as many other Dharma artifacts. 5 years later, the Myriad Spirit sect finally could not hold on after resisting the Song Kingdom for 10 years at Wuxia Pass. They sent out their Purple Mansion sect elders to seek help from the Crescent Sun Palace and the Underworld sect. The Song Kingdom was using the excuse of avenging the Zhao clan, and the 3 major sects were all in the same boat. Once the Myriad Spirit sect collapsed, the Song Kingdom would invade the Zhao Kingdom. If they supported a member of the Zhao family and made him the emperor of the Zhao Kingdom, there would definitely be a large number of old clans that were dissatisfied with the 3 major sections. At that time, the 3 major sects would be dealt with. Therefore, the upper echelons of the Crescent Sun Palace and the Underworld sect agreed to participate in the war, and the war between the Zhao and the Song Kingdom officially began. Chapter 326. Not long after, Wang Daoyuan received an order from Hallmaster Gu to immediately install offensive and defensive magic artifacts on the remaining third-order low-grade flying warships. In the past 5 years, the East First Crafting Workshop had refined more than 60 flying warships. Every year, the Thousand Spirits sect would buy a few to replenish their losses. There were still 30 left in the Netherworld sect. Hallmaster Gu and the others had also made some third-order middle-grade flying warships and tried to refine third-order high-grade flying warships. It was just unknown how many third-order high-grade flying warships they had refined. Wang Daoyuan and the other family cultivators were not qualified to ask about these things. Since there was an order from above, they would obediently install magic artifacts on the warships. Installing offensive and defensive magic artifacts on the flying warships was a bit similar to the magic artifact array. When the warships were being refined, they had reserved the array eyes for installing magic artifacts. As long as the magic artifacts were installed on the reserved array eyes, they could rely on the warships to provide spiritual power. Of course, they could not reserve too many array eyes, otherwise, it would destroy the integrity of the warship's array. Wang Daoyuan only reserved 6 array eyes on the flying warships. It was not difficult to install more magic artifacts. They just had to fix the magic artifacts on the warships, but the spiritual power needed to be supplied with middle-grade spirit stones. The magic artifacts were all refined in advance, so installing them did not take much effort. The East First Crafting Workshop had a lot of manpower, so it only took 5 or 6 days to install all 30 warships. After a simple test, Wang Daoyuan reported to Hallmaster Gu. After entering the crafting hall and seeing Hallmaster Gu, Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "Hallmaster Gu, all 30 third-order low-grade flying warships have been installed with magic artifacts. Please send someone to inspect them." Hallmaster Gu had just finished refining a flying warship core. Judging from the spiritual power fluctuations, it should be third-order high-grade. After freeing his hands, he smiled and said, "Dao Yuan, you did well. Yin Cheng will soon inspect them. By the way, it won't be long before our Netherworld sect goes to Wuxia Pass. All the cultivators who participated in the refining in our sect's cultivators will follow Yin Cheng to Wuxia Pass to be responsible for repairing the warships. You family cultivators must also participate in the battle and listen to Yin Cheng's orders at any time. Of course, you will be fighting alongside the cultivators of your own clans. After Yin Cheng takes control of the warship, a Zifu elder will send you off." Wang Daoyuan took out the steward token and cupped his hands. "Hallmaster Gu, since the task of refining the flying warship has been completed, I will return the steward token to you." Hallmaster Gu waved his hand and said, "There's no need for that. The sect master said that you have refined more than 60 flying warships for the sect in the past few years. However, as the war was about to begin, all resources would have to be used for the war, so there would be no rewards for the time being. I'll give you this token. From now on, your status and authority will be equivalent to the official steward of the crafting hall. With this command medallion, you can mobilize 10 foundation establishment cultivators of the sect who are not under orders. Wang Daoyuan bowed and said, "Thank you, sect master." "Thank you, hall master." Then, he left the main hall and returned to the East First Equipment Forging Workshop, waiting for Yin Chang to come and take over the flying warship. This time, Luo Jiuyo was finally generous. He gave him the identity of a manager, status, and a command medallion. Although he was not an official manager in name, his real power was exactly the same as an official manager. With this command medallion, his status was about the same as Yang Yang's, and his status was higher than Wang Jian's and Liang Liang's. Wang Jian's and Liang Liang's positions were idle elders. They did not have actual duties. If they mobilized the Foundation Establishment Cultivators of the Netherworld sect, the Foundation Establishment Cultivators would not dare to disobey. However, once the mobilized Foundation Establishment Cultivators were injured or killed, they would have to bear the compensation and the like. Moreover, they would be held responsible for abusing their power for personal gain. This was a very serious crime. With this steward's command medallion, it was different. If the mobilized Foundation Establishment Cultivators were injured or killed, the compensation would be paid by the sect. If his order was not wrong, he would not be held responsible. Even if the order was wrong, he would only be held responsible for the improper command. The punishment for this crime would not be too heavy. It could be said that the Netherworld sect was definitely not willing to reward the Yin Yang Purple Jade. Among the things that could be rewarded, there was really nothing more valuable than this command medallion. Not long after Wang Daoyuan returned to the East First Equipment Forging Workshop, Yin Chang came to take over the warship. After everyone saluted, Yin Chang announced that they were about to go to war. Soon after, he left the workshop. A group of people followed behind him on the warship. An hour later, a Zifu sect elder came. He cupped his hands towards Wang Daoyuan and said, "Steward Wang, I've come to send everyone back to the clan." This should be an idle elder. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so polite to a Foundation Establishment cultivator like him. However, he was a Zifu sect cultivator after all. He couldn't be arrogant. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your trouble, senior." The Zifu sect cultivator said, "You're welcome," and took out a 30-meter-long third-grade flying ship for everyone to board. Soon after, the Zifu sect elder steered the flying ship away from the Netherworld sect and flew directly to the northern part of Clearglass County. After arriving at the northern part of Clearglass County, he didn't directly fly to Clearglass City. Instead, he first flew to Jade Spring Peak. This Zifu sect elder was also a snob. However, one would not slap a smiling face. Since he was treated with respect, Wang Daoyuan naturally couldn't be rude. After bowing to the Zifu sect elder, he left the flying ship and returned to Jade Spring Peak. At this moment, the clan elders were all in a meeting. Wang Daoyuan walked in. Wang Shui said with a smile, "Daoyuan, you've finally returned. The Netherworld sect has issued a conscription order. They want our Wang clan to send out 4 Foundation Establishment cultivators and 20 Qi Refinement cultivators. They say they want to help the Myriad Spirit sect resist the invasion of the Kingdom of Song. Our clan has a total of 140 cultivators. Sending out 20 people isn't a big deal. However, the Netherworld sect's order is for Elder Yang to oversee Clearglass City. Fifth uncle will stay at Jade Spring Peak. If anything happens, he'll be ready to reinforce Clearglass City and Gold Goose City in the north. The one leading our clan in the northern part of Clearglass County is that old bastard Liang Liang. Although it's not explicitly stated that we're under his command, he's the only Zifu sect cultivator. On the battlefield, who can compete with him for command? If that old bastard has the chance, he won't do anything to trick our Wang clan. I don't have any way to counter him. Do you have any good ideas? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, I can't think of any good ideas either. However, I can play hard. This time, I've helped the Netherworld sect refine flying warships and performed well. The Netherworld sect master gave me the position of temporary manager and told me to lead dozens of Tier 3 weapon forgers and formation masters to refine Tier 3 low-grade flying warships. In these 5 years, we've refined more than 60 flying warships for the Netherworld sect. Right now, the Netherworld sect is in wartime control of all resources. They didn't reward me with any resources. They only gave me the manager's token. My authority is the same as an official manager. Old Ancestor Yang's position is equivalent to a manager. Liang is just an elder without any duties. In terms of status, he's even inferior to a manager. If I take out the manager's token and play hard with him, he'll have to obediently give up command. Hearing this, all the elders felt relieved. Wang Daoyuan asked, the Netherworld sect requires me to participate in the battle. Has the clan decided on the candidates? Wang Shi nodded and said, it's decided. The original 4 foundation establishment cultivators are me, 8th brother, 9th sister and Dao Xing. Since you have to go, then leave 9th sister behind. She's a water attribute cultivator and isn't strong in battle. In addition, 20 Qi refinement clansmen have already been chosen. They can set off at any time. Wang Daoyuan said solemnly, 12th uncle, you should stay behind. The main force of this battle is Zifu sect cultivators. Foundation establishment cultivators are just small pawns in the vanguard. In addition, those outsiders have been plotting against you. It's too dangerous for you to go. Chapter 327. The other elders also felt that this was reasonable and didn't want Wang Shui to go. But Wang Shui didn't agree and waved his hand, let's not talk about this. If it's dangerous for me, then won't it be dangerous for you? As the clan leader, you should protect the clan from the wind and rain. I've been the clan leader for so many years and you've always been the one to take on dangerous missions. Now that 5th uncle is here, the foreign faction won't be as rampant as before. The possibility of them taking action in this kind of battle isn't high. This time, going to Wuching Pass is also a battle to defend the city. With the city walls and defensive artifacts, it won't be as dangerous as you think. Before I reached Foundation establishment, I traveled outside for a few decades and didn't I still live well? At worst, I'll just bring a few more things to protect myself. I'm going to take part in this battle mainly to share some of the risks for you. You have the authority to manage now, and after you open up your Zifu, you'll be an official manager. Plus, you're strong in fights of magical power and you're proficient in all 4 paths. You'll definitely be put in an important position. In a few years, you'll quickly grow into a leading figure of the clan. The possibility of the foreign faction scheming against you is even greater. Seeing that he was determined to take part, Wang Daoyuan didn't try to persuade him anymore, saying, since you've decided, I won't try to persuade you anymore. When do we assemble? Wang Shui smiled. Elder Yang sent news that the northern clans of Qingli Prefecture will arrive at Qingli Market within 5 days. Afterwards, we'll take a flying boat to 3 River Market at the intersection of the 3 sections. After we arrive, we'll listen to the instructions of the Netherworld sect's Jindan ancestor. As for the following arrangements, Elder Yang hasn't informed us. Wang Daoyuan nodded, saying, I've never experienced this kind of battle between 2 armies and a battle to defend a city. I also don't know how to fight. Everyone, try to bring as many things as possible. All kinds of pills, talismans, artifacts, and a few more storage bags. It's better to be prepared. It's best not to bring spirit beasts or spirit insects. We're in the 1,000 spirit sects territory. If we bring spirit beasts and spirit insects, we'll be in trouble if we run into some blind 1,000 spirit sect disciples. The less trouble, the better. Let's try not to provoke trouble. No one had any objections. 8th Uncle Wang Shoujiang left the meeting hall to deliver orders to the clansmen who were participating in the battle and distribute supplies. These qi refinement cultivators participating in the battle were all cultivators of the Shou and Dao generation. They did not have any special skills. Wang Daoyuan was already close to 90 years old. 4th Uncle Wang Shouyuan, 5th Uncle Wang Shui, 6th Uncle Wang Shoufeng, and 7th Uncle Wang Shouhong had all passed away. More than half of the Shou generation cultivators had withered away, and most of the remaining cultivators were over 100 years old. Apart from 5th granduncle, the rest of the Ji generation had all withered away. There were only a dozen or so people of the Shou generation left. Even the oldest of the Dao generation was only in his 90s, not to the point of withering away. Originally, there were only 30 or so people in the Dao generation. In recent years, the Wang clan has been giving preferential treatment to the close relatives of pregnant cultivators. The cultivators of the Shou generation married a large number of wives and concubines and gave birth to many cultivators. Currently, there were more than 50 cultivators of the Dao generation. The number of cultivators from the Ming generation grew faster and faster. Now, there were already over 70 people. Among them, there were also some cultivators who could shoulder great responsibilities. For example, Wang Meng's great-grandson Wang Mingshan. He was only in his 20s and was already at the 7th level of foundation establishment. His talent in alchemy was not bad and he was already a first-stage superior-grade alchemist. There was no need for Wang Daoyuan to take care of him. When his cultivation reached the peak of qi refinement, Wang Daoyuan could just give him a foundation establishment pill. 3 days later, everyone boarded the Jade Spring flying ship and headed to Qingli City. When they arrived at the entrance of the Netherworld sect's encampment, they found that most of the people from the various clans in the northern part of Qingli County had already arrived. A foundation establishment cultivator came out of the Netherworld sect's encampment and cupped his hands towards the cultivators of the various clans. Elder Yang has ordered for the foundation establishment cultivators of the various clans to enter for a discussion. Wang Shui instructed the qi refinement cultivators of the clan. You all wait here first. The 20 qi refinement cultivators replied in unison, yes. Wang Daoyuan and the other 3 followed the Netherworld sect's foundation establishment cultivator to the discussion hall. There were already people in the hall. Yang Yong sat at the head of the table while Liang Liang sat at the head of the table on the left. After entering the hall, Wang Daoyuan did not stand on ceremony and directly sat at the head of the table on the right. It was not appropriate for Wang Shui and the others to sit at the head of the table. After all, their seniority was lower. Although Wang Daoyuan's seniority was lower, he had the authority of the Netherworld sect's artifact forging hall. Yang Yong definitely knew about this, but he did not say anything. The other foundation establishment cultivators also did not dare to interfere in the matters of the 3 great Zifu clans. After everyone had arrived, Yang Yong said, everyone, this time, the Song Kingdom has mobilized all its forces to invade the kingdom of Zhao. The Myriad Spirit sect has already resisted the Wuching Pass for more than 10 years. Although the Myriad Spirit sect is strong, it is difficult to resist the attack of the entire Song Kingdom. Now that the Myriad Spirit sect cannot hold on, once the Song Kingdom breaks through the Wuching Pass, they will be able to break into the hinterland of the Zhao Kingdom. The 5 counties south of the Wanchuan River will be difficult to defend. Once the Song Kingdom obtains the 5 counties, the north of the Wanchuan River will also become a battlefield. When that time comes, I'm afraid that even the foundations of your clans will be destroyed by the flames of war. In order to protect the Zhao Kingdom and for your clans, we must support the Myriad Spirit sect and repel the Song Kingdom's invasion. I need to guard the clear glass market and cannot participate in the battle. The sect did not specify who will lead the cultivators of the clans. You can discuss among yourselves. I still have matters to attend to, so I will take my leave. The clans did not really care that the Song Kingdom wanted to destroy the 3 great sections. This was because most of the clans only had a few qi refinement cultivators join the underworld sect. The others were not involved. Giving up a few qi refinement cultivators at the crucial moment was not a problem. The clans did not care who ruled the Zhao kingdom. However, if the flames of war spread to their own territories, they would definitely not be willing. Furthermore, the underworld's sex conscription order could not be ignored. If they wanted to fight, then so be it. As for who would lead the clans, only the 3 great Zifu clans would fight over it. The other clans did not have the qualifications and would not interfere. The Yang clan's patriarch, Yang Ziyuan, should have gotten the message from Yang Yong. Furthermore, Liang was here. He had no interest in fighting for the position of leader. Liang stroked his beard and said with a smile, since Elder Yang and Elder Wang are not here, as the only Zifu disciple on this trip, I naturally will not pass on the responsibility of leading the cultivators of the clans. Wang Daoyuan said coldly, wait. Elder Liang has been guarding the western border for many years. You are not familiar with the cultivators of the various clans. In addition, you're already old, so why do you have to trouble yourself over this matter? Junior will handle the trivial matters of leading the clans. The cultivators present were somewhat puzzled. The fact that Wang Daoyuan was highly regarded by the underworld's sex patriarch was known by all the cultivators of the clans who went with him to forge artifacts. However, the fact that he still had the steward's medallion in his hands was unknown to the others. Everyone had originally thought that it would be Liang, Yang Ziyuan and Wang Shui fighting for the position of leader. Unexpectedly, Wang Shui and Yang Ziyuan did not speak. Instead, it was the junior Wang Daoyuan who spoke up. Liang snorted coldly and said, a child still wet behind the ears. Do you want to manage this old man? Wang Daoyuan took out the steward's medallion and said, I definitely do not dare to compare age. Elder Liang is almost 490 years old, right? Junior's age is only a fraction of yours. My 5th great-uncle is not even 200 years old. How could he dare to compare with you? However, Junior was previously summoned by the sect to assist in forging flying warships. Afterwards, Junior's artifact forging and formation skills both broke through to the 3rd rank. The Patriarch ordered me to command several dozen Daoyu to forge flying warships. In 5 years, we forged over 60 flying warships. Due to the Patriarch's high regard, he bestowed upon me the Artifact Forging Hall's Steward's Medallion. Although I am not a disciple of the Underworld sect, nor am I an official steward of the Underworld sect, I have all the authority of a steward. I am in charge of the various clans' cultivators with the authority of a steward. Which Daoyu has objections? Chapter 328. Seeing Wang Daoyuan take out the token, all the Foundation establishment cultivators present stood up and saluted, greetings, Steward Wang. After all, they were all working for the Netherworld sect. Whether they were sincere or not, they had to show some respect. The stewards of the Netherworld sect had a higher status than the elders with no duties, so everyone naturally had to salute. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Daoyu don't have to be so courteous. I haven't joined the Netherworld sect yet, so I'm not an official steward. I'm just exercising my authority. Elder Liang, I don't dare to command you. Let's do it this way. Those who are willing to listen to me, follow me. Those who are willing to listen to you, follow you. What do you think? Liang thought for a while. There was no point in continuing to cause trouble. He had no chance of winning. The title of elder with no duties was not as good as a steward with real power. He sighed and nodded, let's do it this way. Everyone began to stand in line. Those who were willing to accept Wang Daoyuan's command stood on the right. Those who were willing to follow Liang stood on the left. Wang Daoyuan's previous words were also a hidden threat. Liang was already close to 490 years old. He only had a dozen years left to live, but Wang Jian was less than 200 years old. One would rather bully a white-haired old man than a poor young man. Moreover, this young man from the Wang clan was not poor. He was even stronger than the white-haired old man from the Liang clan. If they followed Liang Liang to the end and waited for Liang Liang to pass away, the remaining few hundred years would be slowly dealt with by the Wang clan. Apart from the Huang clan and 2 or 3 other clans that were very close to the Liang clan and had enmity with the Wang and Yang clans, the other clans all stood on Wang Daoyuan's side. A few foreign clans also chose to stand on Wang Daoyuan's side. Liang Liang sighed and did not say anything else. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Since the matter of the commanders has been discussed, let's go. Then, a foundation establishment cultivator from the Netherworld sect walked in and led everyone to the training field. It was the place where the strength of the participants was screened before the duel between the 2 sections. It was very spacious, but there was a giant flying boat in the courtyard. The flying ship was over 200 feet long and 70 to 80 feet wide. One ship could fit several hundred cultivators from various clans who were participating in the battle. Wang Daoyuan shouted, "Foundation establishment cultivators of each clan, bring your own qi condensation cultivators onto the ship." The foundation establishment cultivators spread out and quickly brought in the qi refinement cultivators from the various clans. The cultivators of the various clans boarded the ship according to the strength of their respective clans. Because Wang Daoyuan was the commander of this trip, the Wang clan was the first to board the ship, followed by the Yang clan and the Liang clan. After all the clans had boarded the airship, several foundation establishment disciples of the underworld school boarded the airship and entered the cabin where the airship was controlled. A foundation establishment cultivator asked Wang Daoyuan, "Steward Wang, all the participating cultivators have boarded the ship. Can we set off now?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "We can leave now." The flying boat slowly rose to a height of 1,000 feet before flying southwest. The speed of this flying boat wasn't very fast. It could only fly a little over 1,000 miles in 2 hours. It wasn't easy for such a large flying boat to fly at such a speed. After all, it was a large flying boat used for transportation and one had to consider the consumption of spirit stones. The faster it was, the more spirit stones it would consume. The Three River Market was at the southernmost tip of Darkwada Commandery, where the 3 sects intersected. The distance between Clear Glass Market and Three River Market was about 60,000 miles in a straight line. This flying boat would only take 4 to 5 days to reach Three River Market. It was considered very fast for such a long-distance deployment to only take 4 to 5 days. Furthermore, the Myriad Spirit sect wouldn't ask for help only when they were at the end of their rope. They would be able to hold on for a few more months. The flying boat flew within the territory of the Underworld School. There was a conspicuous flag of the Underworld School on the ship, so no one dared to have any ideas about this flying boat. The journey was safe and sound. 5 days later, the flying boat landed at Three River Market. The Three River Market was divided into 3 parts by the river, with each of the 3 major sects occupying a part. The part occupied by the Underworld School was near the mouth of the Darkwater River, and the western part was the territory of the Cruel Sun Palace. The part occupied by the Myriad Spirit sect was not on the southern bank of the Myriad River, but on a small island in the middle of the Myriad River, only 3 to 4 miles away from the northern bank. The shops of the 3 sects added together exceeded 6,000. This scale was not something that Clear Glass Market could compare to. The flying boat that Wang Daoyuan and the others were on landed in a spacious courtyard of the Underworld School's base in Three River Market. Seeing the flying boat land, a Zifu disciple immediately walked over. Wang Daoyuan and Liang Liang walked off the flying boat, while the others continued to stay on the flying boat. Whether or not they would rest here would depend on the instructions of the Underworld School's Jindan Patriarch. After everyone had alighted, the Zifu disciple cupped his hands and said, "Steward Wang, Elder Liang, please follow me inside and listen to the instructions of the Dark Sea Patriarch." The Dark Sea Patriarch was the Grand Elder of the Underworld School. His title was the Dark Sea Spiritual Master, and he should be over 900 years old. It seemed that the Underworld School had also been careful in assisting the Myriad Spirit sect this time. By sending the Dark Sea Spiritual Master, who was nearing the end of his lifespan, even if the Myriad Spirit sect turned hostile, the losses wouldn't be too great. If the Dark Sea spiritual master died in battle, then they could still extort the myriad spirit sect. The underworld school's attitude could be seen from the fact that they had sent Liang Liang, while Yang Yong and Wang Jian did not participate. Of course, not all of the upper echelons that the underworld school had sent were nearing the end of their lifespan. They had also sent Hallmaster Gu, a cultivator with a bright future. Hallmaster Gu was only over 300 years old, and his cultivation was already at the peak of the Zifu realm. He was a seedling that could form a golden core. The underworld school had probably sent him to the front lines to be able to repair the high-grade Grade 3 flying warships at any time. Wang Daoyuan and the others followed the Zifu disciple elder into a large hall, where an old black-robed cultivator sat on the main seat. Wang Daoyuan had seen golden cores many times. The aura that the Dark Sea spiritual master emitted was slightly stronger than the sect master of the underworld school, but it was far inferior to the Thunderflame spiritual master. After all, the Thunderflame spiritual master was an expert in a top force like the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Naturally, he was not someone that the Dark Sea spiritual master could compare to. After Wang Daoyuan and Liang Liang took their seats, the Dark Sea spiritual master did not say anything. Hallmaster Gu said, "The cultivators from the north of the Qingli County have also arrived. All the cultivators participating in this battle have arrived. If there's anything you need, please tell us. If there's nothing else, we'll be heading to the Wuxia Pass." A few Zifu realm cultivators stood up and talked about some trivial matters. Hallmaster Gu immediately ordered people to settle it. After that, no one said anything else. Hallmaster Gu announced that everyone was heading to the Wuxia Pass. Of the 5 counties under the Myriad Spirit sect, 4 of them were close to the Wanchuan River. Only the Wuxia County, where the Wuxia Pass was located, was far from the Wanchuan River. Without the Wuxia County, the Zhao country's territory would be a trapezoid, wide in the north and narrow in the south. The Wuxia County was like a sword that extended from the bottom of the trapezoid, piercing the heart of the Song country. The entire Wuxia County was more than 60,000 miles long from the north to the south and only 4,000 to 5,000 miles wide from the east to the west. This county originally belonged to the Song country. However, the Zhao country had been attacking the Song country for several generations. After the Wuxia Pass was taken, the Song country had no place to defend, so it submitted to the Zhao country. The Song emperor asked the Zhao country's princess to marry and the 2 countries intermarried. The Zhao country did not continue to attack the Song country. Instead, it went north to wipe out the Demon clan. The Wuxia Pass was 100,000 miles away from the Three River Market. The reinforcements of the underworld sect, accompanied by the cultivators of the Myriad Spirit sect, had to go around the important industries of the Myriad Spirit sect. After half a month, they finally arrived at the Wuxia Pass. Looking from the sky, the east and the west were all lofty mountains. In the middle, there was an opening that was about 1,000 miles wide. This opening was not flat land. It was formed by intermittent mountain ranges. In the middle of the opening was a flat passage that was 3 to 4 miles wide. The main city of the Wuxia Pass was located on this flat passage. The city walls blocked the entire passage. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.